Hello, everyone. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear you? All right. All right. I was having a little audio problem. Sorry about the delay. Welcome to the Toplofty Lounge, everybody. Episode 105 Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome to all my fellow snobs. Just the audio went out for a little second. I couldn't hear anything during the intro, but looks like it's back working again. Things will be going good. I am your host, Science Fiction Snob. Today on the program, this week, we're going to be looking at The Amazing Digital Circus, episodes 7 and 8. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the Harlan Ellison short story, which I believe the show is based on, called I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And also, we're going to be talking a little bit about fan theories. This is in anticipation of something's happening this Thursday, Cam. What's happening this Thursday? You know?
Yeah, it's the theatrical release of episode 8 and 9, which is the finale.
That's right. And next week on the program on the 7th of June, week from today, we'll be talking about the program spoilers, and we will be talking about the entire thing about episode and spoilers, everything like that. That's good. Right. Cam's not supposed to talk until I introduce him. Let me introduce my co-host, the man who talks before he's supposed to. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and listening to me now that I am able to speak.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right. Everything's in chaos now because we didn't follow the proper procedure. Oh, well.
No, we're in chaos because of the audio problems. But okay, anyway, let me try to recover.
I got to get a new thing there. This happens every so often.
So yes, we're spending the entire budget of the Toplofty Lounge to attend this premiere.
Yeah, that's right. That's for the entire season.
Yes.
You never had a mouth. How would you know about screaming? It's a good question. But it's not that you never had a mouth. It's I have no mouth now, and yet I must scream.
Snob, let me ask you this question: why didn't you introduce me as the cane to your bubble?
The cane to my bubble. I don't know. Did I use?
I don't know.
I try to get a different one every time. Maybe we'll save that one for next week.
Well, as you mentioned,
I can't use that one now because you mentioned it, so now it's not a surprise.
So, I was thinking with the younger set, the kids, is that maybe waiting until next Sunday, from Thursday to Sunday, maybe that's too long. Maybe we have to have a special show.
You think
we have to have an immediate show? Yes.
All right, I have to think about that
because you got to get on that hot spoiler train.
That's true. You make in 4 days might be. Well, the thing is, some people. I mean, the shows are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday's the last day you can see. But all right, we can talk. We can talk about that offline.
Yes,
I need to think about that. Let me ruminate on that a little.
I don't know that I really want to do it. It just occurred to me, so
Oh, okay. You suggest things you don't want to do. All right. Ring a ding ding. It's me, B Bricks. Hey. Our most popular, our biggest fan of this type of show,
but nothing
really
else.
likes the digital circus stuff. Welcome. And there's one other. Where is that? Who's the other one? Where are they? Where are they? They're not here yet.
Yes, extra history. I think it was.
Yes, we were waiting for you. We were just killing time before you announced yourself. That's true, because otherwise you're the most interesting person in the show. But I got to say, we have to we have to appreciate
all of our viewers.
Man Shear, who's here as well, because we know that this is not the most popular. He's not a huge fan of this digital circus, and the same with Outpost Nerd. I know he's not a huge fan of this, so we appreciate people who are coming. We appreciate everybody, but the people who come here who aren't really a fan of this, hey, that's a little bit extra on their part. So yeah, we appreciate that. So Cam, anything interesting this week going on that you want to mention?
It's been a busy week but not a productive week. I did. We had our season 4 premiere of the No Surrender, No Retreat, season 4 of Babylon 5, episode 1 on last Wednesday.
Don't you think that's a little weird? Usually people say no retreat, no surrender.
Yes,
and
I think it's very
no
weird.
Surrender, no retreat. And I was like, is this right? And I keep going back. Whenever I want to type it out, I'm like, wait a sec, I gotta check myself. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sorry, interrupted.
Yeah, it is strange. Are you going to ask me? Oh, that was good radio. Did you ask me about what I did to increase my sci-fi knowledge this week, or is that something you're waiting on?
I haven't asked you that yet, but you can. Okay. I mean, we've already broken protocol already.
Yeah, it's a free for all.
So just talk about whatever you want.
Well,
if you want something to talk about.
I did get an expansion for one of the role-playing games, one of the sci-fi role-playing games, the Coriolis.
Yeah, that's the one that you've been quite interested in.
Yes, and I haven't had time to fully delve into it, but I figured I would get this. It's a box set. It's like a campaign setting, basically. So a lot of material. Yeah, it's quite heavy box with a lot of stuff in it, a lot of cool reference material, and it's like got a background book and then the campaign book, of course, which is kind of like the module, for the adventures within there. So Free League really puts out.
That is an interesting RPG. That one.
Yeah, I think
it seems kind of different, a little different, slightly different, and a little interesting setting and stuff. So I don't know anything about the mechanics, but
it's definitely sci-fi, but it's very strange sci-fi. It's not. You kind of have the Earth-based or the completely not Earth-based, and this is like a weird hybrid between. And it's like there is no connection to Earth anymore, but you are humans.
They tend to RPG sci-fis tend to be, sort of alien in space, right? Like big, these, corporations, large, empire type stuff, and then they'll go to the, that's sort of the human based, or they'll be, I don't know, the space. There's the sort of the post-apocalyptic Gamma World style, all on the, mostly on Earth, but weird stuff. And then there's a kind of a, I guess what would you call the Star Wars one, which would be sort of like a large galaxy with all kinds of weird creatures. I don't know. Would Traveler fall into that one? I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that's about all I really did for sci-fi this week.
I got a board game up today. Yesterday. We finally got a chance to pull up Fire in the Lake. Now we just spent the entire time going through the tutorial and doing the tutorial suggested. It's it's kind of I like war games, but the group I'm with isn't big into them, and some of the war games can get pretty complicated. Now, Fire in the Lake is a coin game. It's a counterinsurgency operation, so it's not quite like moving your battalions around on a map and attacking Normandy or something like that, right? Like, like a typical war game, but it is kind of in that vein. So it's a little, it can be a little more complicated, moving stuff around, and a little bit different. I haven't played a coin game before, so none of us were familiar with the way of doing this, like the blind leading the blind. So we spent 3 hours basically doing that, going through setting up the thing and trying to figure out what's going on and stuff. So but it was interesting, and we'll hit it again for sure.
Cool.
That's about it for me. My kids are quite into this digital circus stuff. They're one of my older daughter is hanging out with her friends, and they're rewatching all the episodes in anticipation for going to see the movie on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are you taking the whole family?
Oh, no, they're going on their own.
Oh, you're going by yourself, like a weird old man.
Yeah. I was like, "Do you want to come with me?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." And then they probably wanted to come with me because I figured I'd pay for it. But now she's going with her friends. So
I'm sorry.
On her. Oh, it's no big deal. Then the other one, the younger one, was like, they were both like, I think I might go see with their friends. I'm like, all right, fine. I guess I'll go by myself. And then they're like, maybe you need to go with you now. I'm like, oh, geez, now I got to get another ticket. Yeah. It's the, teenagers. They're like, want to do their own thing. And I mean, the older one is old enough. I mean, geez, she's like, college now and working on her own. But,
Sure.
That's the way it goes. It's no big deal.
Okay.
Little birds got to leave the nest. And speaking of birds leaving the nest, not quite, but we have a new segment on the program for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks or so. And here we go. It's the goose update. Update on the geese. This is before the things. Okay, so anyway, it's rained all day today at our place. We even put the fire on because it's raining, a little bit cool. But so the goose, the mother is sitting in these two planters here. It's sitting in the farther one, and she's sitting there right now. And it's raining, so she's all like squished down. So like, look at fat. Let's see the picture. This goose looks pretty fat, right? Well, it's in the thing, and it's squished down as much as it can to try to keep from getting too cold and keep the eggs warm. I guess whatever they do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's been sitting on the thing the whole week since the last update, and so now it was hot. Like it just started raining yesterday. Today, basically today, this last night. So now we're supposed to do like a week of wet weather. But before that, it was really hot the whole week. And so the goose would occasionally, she'd stand up to, I don't know, air her butt out or something. I don't know. And we could see she wouldn't get off the eggs, but she would stand up and we could see them. And so there was at least 4 or 5 big ass white goose eggs in that thing. You see the stuff around the little thing around the at the base of the planters. Those are pine cones, right? So my wife planted garlic in. You put a bunch of pine cones in the bottom, I guess, to air it out. Give it a little bit of air. Then you throw dirt on it, and then she planted garlic. So the goose is like, "Hey, garlic! What a great place to bury my eggs." So the goose went in there, and while it was getting ready to nest, it dug around and pulled all the pine cones out and scattered them around, like. Who put this crap in here? I don't need some damn pine cones. And then now she's sitting on the eggs and put a bit of her fluff in there and stuff. So I'm going to be a grandfather to 4 or 5 baby goslings, I guess, in about, 3 to 4 weeks, I think. So, yeah, so everything's going good. The goose has been sitting there. She barely leaves. I think she left once during the week that we saw to go like in the nearby pond and just have a bath or something, but that was like hardly any time at all. So yeah, that's what's been going on. Did I miss anything? Is there have you any questions?
No.
They're annoying and they're a pain in the ass and they're very, very vicious. Apparently swans, as we discussed last week, supposedly swans are even worse, but Canada goose are pretty bad. They're not afraid to attack anybody. Now, I actually went outside and came, reasonably close, maybe 6 feet away, and the goose just stared at me. And you can't tell Cam in this picture, but you see the deck here to the right side of the deck. It's just outside of the picture. Is we have an outdoor porch that's covered. We call it a sun porch because it's got lots of windows. So you can sit there and stare down at the goose, and you're like, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 feet away, maybe. You can see everything. The thing just stares at us. It's not scared at all. That's how we see the goose stands up. You can stand up in that porch and look down, and you're like, oh, you can see everything. So that's how we can tell there's like 4 or 5 eggs in there. We can't, they're covered in dirt partially and stuff, but it looks like 5. Yeah, so the wife keeps going out and leaving out buckets of water for I'm like, just leave them alone. They can go drink in a pond. They know what they're doing. But you can't tell women anything. But anyway, so the thing hasn't attacked anybody yet. We kind of leave it alone. We're hoping that we're hoping this will be over by the end of June, I guess, because I want to go back to barbecuing, the barbecue stuff.
Okay.
Oh, what do we see today? Oh, on the front part of our property, there was 2 geese and 5 babies as well running around in the rain, on our driveway. So there's another family of geese.
Different one.
Different, yeah. Well, it's got to be a different one because the goslings were obviously very, very new. They're still very yellow, so they're super young. Now it's not a surprise because we've got two small ponds on our property, and the way that ducks and geese operate once they have their kids, they'll tend to walk from wetland to wetland sort of thing, and there's tons of them around where we live. So they go here and they're like, oh, we're gonna hang out here for a day, eat stuff, and then move on to the next one, for predators and also to find enough food and stuff. So I suspect as soon as they're born, as soon as they can walk, they're all gonna jump out and take off. I'm not sure how long that is, but once they're born, they'll be there in a couple days maybe, and then they're out. But
sure.
Anyway, all right, that's the update. Okay, shall we? That's good. Shall we get into it?
Yes. Oh, Bieberg here mentions a goose. Isn't Gooseworks? This is a tie-in you've done. How clever of you.
Damn, I didn't even think of that. Well, maybe a little bit.
Well, now you blew it. Okay.
But it was fortuitous. There is actually a goose in the backyard. I didn't make that up, as you see from the picture. I'll have to get another picture of the thing sitting on the eggs, and of course we'll get the babies because Cam loves babies. So
I do.
The babies when they. Well, come on! You talk about it all the time about how you love babies.
Yeah, babies are adorable.
So we'll have to put that. We'll put the baby geese up there when we get them, whenever that is. You got to tune into the show to find out when.
Okay,
but it should be like 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, something like that. Anyway, okay, let's go. Let's get into it. You want to talk about who wants to go first? Episode 7. Do you want to talk first?
Sure. Okay. Well, just as a jump, these two episodes really get pretty deep. I mean, they
are. These are great episodes,
stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is like, okay, things are starting to come together. Now I know what's going on. Maybe. Yeah.
Or do we? It's
maybe.
I honestly have no idea how this is going to end up. But we okay. So
I have a theory.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll talk about that in the theories, but I don't know how else can it end. But anyway, it can only end badly. It's my point.
That's yeah.
But
okay.
But anyway,
well, in brief,
beach party.
Yes. Beach episode is very misleading, of course, because this episode. I'm just going to go front to back, in 2 sentences here, and then we can delve into it.
Yeah, of course.
It starts out with Kane saying, "Oh, I don't have an adventure today, so why don't you just go explore, some of the grounds that you really haven't?" And mentions the lake outside or whatever. And there's some interesting people to see out there, and he's got some other things going on. So they do. They go out and have a beach day, and then they come back and they get into this whole adventure or this whole conspiracy kind of thing. It's
yes.
They're now. I don't know if you've noticed.
Not an adventure.
Right. That's right. It's not an adventure. Wink, wink. With this NPC, that's like the little model doll, the little wood doll that we see all the time. And I don't know if you noticed this watching it, but he's shown up like all the time. He's always peeking around a corner and then, comes back, and then you saw a little bit of that here. It is revealed. He's always been watching you for a long time.
In episode 5 or 6, which one I think it was 6, we remarked on him. He was peeking around the corner, right? But he has been peeking before, but that one was like 2. Right. Obviously a lead into this, I think. Yeah.
Right. And so, basically he reveals that he is actually a human. He's not an NPC. And he has been waiting for the right time to tell them, these secrets and how he thinks he has a way for them to get out. Long story short, this is the rug being pulled out from under them, right?
It's a trap. It's another adventure, secret adventure. It's set up by Kane.
That's right. And so this the thing that I find interesting about this is it's not just the characters having the rug pulled out from under them. This is the viewers having the rug pulled out from under them, right? You mentioned, all these fan theories and everything, and I'm sure some of those are contained within this, or maybe not ones you have planned to talk about or whatever, but this is uh, uh, a bait and switch kind of thing. It was like, at the end, the characters are all just like, they're just like, it's like, what just happened, kind of thing. Where, Kane completely screwed them over. Um, and they're just stunned, that,
Well, yes and no. I mean, Jax is kind of like, I mean, he starts the whole thing like, what's the quote here? Let me find it in my notes. He says something about, the villain. Damn it. Later on, he says, the obvious twist villain. He calls the guy at the beginning. He calls
right, yeah, well, they're meeting in the room.
Yeah, he goes, "Come on, this is fake. This is the obvious twist villain."
Yeah, and he's like,
right?
Kane's gonna show up and go, ha ha ha, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
it's exactly what happens.
Right, they go along with this whole thing, and then at the end, when it's revealed, he's like, "I was right." It's like, and then he like kind of loses it. He.
So that's kind of interesting because it is. I mean, he sort of thinks that, but he's still kind of. I mean, you're not wrong when you say that he seems to kind of hope that, like, because he is kind of surprised at it, and he's like, "What? I was right." Like he thought he was wrong.
Yeah.
So you're not. I'm saying that Jax predicted it, but I think he predicts it, but he doesn't really believe it.
Right. Yeah, because he's both the funny one, but in reality, the one that's living in denial in a lot of ways too, right?
Yeah, and the sarcastic, or the don't care one or whatever.
Yeah, and so this is. I mean, I really like this episode. This whole idea that there's this thing, and the way that they kind of pull Kinger. I mean, you notice how it's like Kinger is pushed out of the thing by Abel's like, oh no, Kinger and I have this this history, and these nebulous comments that he makes. Whenever they start asking about Kinger, in regards to this, and. And we find in the end it's all BS, right? It's like he like pulls out his little thing, his like little picture thing that he's looking at, and you don't see what it is. And late, at the end, it's a hot dog. It's nothing. It's just right. It's just a complete fu, And at the end, well, okay. I guess I'm skipping a lot of the lead up to this.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to summarize, and I was going to say we'll go back and look at some of the.
Okay, well, why don't you do that? Because I guess
you don't want to finish summarizing.
Well, no, I mean that's it. They're screwed, and it's like, this whole thing where you think you could get out of here. It's just, another joke, and it's like, I mean, again, imagine that. It's like this whole thing is dangled in front of them. That they because escape is really kind of in the back of their heads for this whole thing. They didn't ask you to be in here, right? And some of them accept that they are kind of trapped, and some of them are not. And now they had their salvation essentially dangled in front of them, and only to have it revealed that it's BS. And Kane clearly is just like, he doesn't even get it, right? That what he did to them is beyond cruel.
Yeah, it's pretty more cruel than anything else he's done so far.
Right.
Dangle the escape in front of them, which is what they really want. But he can't understand because why would they want to leave? And we get into that in the next episode, I think.
Okay, B-Bricks is making a lot of claims here about hot dog, low-key reference to episode 4.
Where on the Spudsy menu, scratch, the first abstract according to Kinger was on the wrapper of the hot dog. Yeah, that's I didn't notice that, but someone pointed that out to me, that we scratch we don't see scratch is referenced in episode 4. So if you go back, there's a little bit there's stuff there. My kids mentioned that to me. They read all the theories.
Yeah, there's a ton of references going on through all this, but I mean, you could go through this in any detail you want, but I think episode 9 is more interesting. I mean, this one was good the way it was, and we can go through any of the details you want, but
well, let me start at the beginning. I mentioned a couple.
Sure.
We'll just go through and. It's something that's interesting. So it starts off, Zubal's hiding from the adventure, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of, and they all come out, instead of, Kane saying, well, no, he says that. Oh no, he doesn't. No, that's the next episode. Again, says instead of he says, "Hey, no, I have no adventure. What do you guys suggest we do?" And I think Bubble suggested that why don't we have a beach party? So they go to the beach party. They go to the beach and they're just sort of hanging out there. What did you think in the beach? Well, actually, I should say first they got to mention the door and the Chinese door because that's important later because supposedly they can go in there and they won't be heard. They think. And Kane gets some sort of joke out of the door, and it's in Chinese. He can't laugh, and anyway, they go to the beach, and they're just kind of goofing around. What is it? Zubul and draw Jax's face on a watermelon and then smash it. Pomni goes down. What do you think of the part where Pomni goes down and she meets the shark? And the shark talks about his sunken treasure. And there's this reference to the NPCs before. And I think the shark and his brother are like perfect example of the Skyrim type mean NPCs who just don't know it. Like they have no intelligence whatsoever. They just repeat a bunch of, sayings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that? Like that was my thought.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it was really trying to say in the larger sense. Kane did mention there were some NPCs out there that they hadn't met before. They are very one note. They're like, the first thing it says something is, Pomni goes diving into the water to chase Ragatha's eye that got popped out. And he's like, you can't get my treasure or something. It's like, just like, what? What are you talking about? What treasure?
Yeah. Oh, what treasure?
And then, they eventually,
it sounds like a typical, you're playing some sort of computer RPG and you go to, up to somebody and they said, oh, don't ask, you're not to get my, my treasure. Like what? Ask anything about that. Right. It's obvious hook to try to get you in to do something. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's, it's very, very dumb, the dumb NPC. And then he's like, oh no, my treasure's gone. They took everything. Dude, my life savings was in there. I think the shark says something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty ugly fish. So I think that's just a distraction. It's just sort of a little internal joke about about the whole dumb NPCs. After that, what do you think about I don't think there's much there. What do you think about the interaction between Zubul and Jax? It's right after that.
Like when she dumps the water on him?
Yeah, she dumps water on him, and he's like, what was that for? And she lists a bunch of stuff that he did, to her. And then you notice that, okay, do you want to mention anything? I think there's a key thing here.
Go ahead.
Okay, so she's talking, and Zubul says, something to the effect that, I'll always, I will still support you, sort of thing, or look after you, or I'll still care about you, even though you don't care about me, that kind of stuff. He makes a comment about shouldn't you go be miserable about your body, and he's like, shouldn't you go? And she says something, you should go. Shouldn't you go be picking on people? Go and doing your usual thing. And, she remarks that, hey, I like to talk about to people I trust, but then, he kind of gets up, like he's sort of listening. And then he puts on the Jack face, the Jack's face, where he's like, doesn't care. And he goes up and gets, I'm going to go off. I don't care about nothing. And, before that, he's listening, and he's obviously like what she's saying is having an effect on there.
Jax is clearly, from the last episode with Pom, Jax is going through a bit is an arc here, right? And after the whole thing with Pomni in the last episode, he's talking about abstracting, and how other people that had abstracted and such. And he's clearly seems to be doing this psychological distancing, where before he was more, and Zubo pointing out, he would prank them and abuse them in certain ways or whatever, but at least it was some kind of interaction. And now he's isolating,
Yeah.
And that's a big red flag in the way I'm seeing it.
And he's been showing signs of abstracting a little bit in, the last episode and stuff, right?
Right. Well,
so
yeah.
He's the one closest to abstracting as far as I can tell from the characters.
Right.
Is deteriorating. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
He's going to be the next abstract if things don't change. So I think that, I think it's very, it's quite obvious that when somebody's saying something to him that hits him emotionally, he will all of a sudden get up, his eyes will go big, he'll put that big shit-eating grin on his face, and then he'll walk away.
Yeah,
it's very obvious that's
he's all about psychological barriers, right? Defense mechanisms,
and you say something to him that breaks that barrier, that hits him, and he'll, he has to run away, because he can't deal with it or whatever, right?
Well, he's running away now, but other times he would gaslight you and deflect and change the subject and things like that.
But he's not able to do that anymore.
Right? Yeah. Right. He just kind of throws up a dismissive thing. He's like, "Oh, I just don't want to hear you yapping anymore," And then, hey, how many drinks you having, man? Slow down, brother.
Just 2, man. Yeah.
All right.
So
I can stop anytime I want.
I can stop anytime I want. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's very interesting.
So
I think that's interesting about Jax. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So mask more than Gangles. Okay. There's a whole theory I want to get to with that. But okay. So yeah, he goes back to his room.
He might mask more than Gangle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought the shrimp thing was a joke. It's just a little joke. Hello there, the shrimp NPC, and then it comes back and he's tempura. I thought that was just a little throwaway joke.
The sun also demonstrates what an a-hole it is. Again,
yeah.
It's whatever, because they hate you, or I forget what it said. But
I hate you. I wonder if there's something about. There could be a reference to that in, I have no mouth yet I must scream. The AI in there hates the humans with a hate, the burning hate of 1,000 suns type of thing, right? So I'm wondering if that's kind of that's not in the short story, but it doesn't say that, but it really hates humans. So I'm wondering if that's, the sun might be a reflection of that. But anyway, the beach party sort of ends. Jax with Pomni looking at Jax, and then we just cut to Jax in his bedroom or something, right?
Yeah, he went in there and is sitting there in the dark.
And everything is very everything is super muted, right? It's not quite black and white, but
right.
And he's got all these pictures on the wall,
Polaroids. Right, Polaroids that are turned around.
They're facing the wrong way,
right? And then he turns one. Yeah, he turns one around that has Ribbit and Kaufmo on it, his buddies, and
they're all drinking that coffee coffee drink with all the whipped cream in it, which we're gonna see later.
Yeah, and so, but he was like, "Hey, they were buddies, right? I think they were, arm in arm or whatever, or was that a different?"
Nope, they're smiling. They're all happy.
Yeah,
it looks like a bunch of 3 guys who are close buds having a great time.
Right, and now, as we know, these people are all gone from his life.
Yeah, they've extracted it. Yeah,
right, and last time. The conversation with Pomni about what she's like, what if I abstract? He's like, I'd move on. So we're seeing that his mindset in regards to that. But he starts freaking out here, and he gets
like a hand comes out of the wall type of thing, or
right, and he kind of it
looks like ribbit, frog hands, like maybe ribbit.
But he's like wide-eyed, just staring in terror at it. But then he reaches his hand out to grasp it. It's like, this is good. Now, I want to note for future reference, this was a green hand. Okay.
Yeah, it's
and ribbit. Then right Well, or maybe.
Or
But anyway, it leads to this whole psychedelic, vision he has here, where he's like floating naked through this.
hold on before you get to that. Did you
Yeah.
notice that as he's reaching out to the hand, he kind of crosses some sort of plane, and his glove comes off, and it looks like his hand without a glove on it. He's normally wearing gloves. I don't know if that's significant or not, but it does happen. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, sure. They have this whole thing where he's, again, this acid trip kind of thing with these kaleidoscope colors and,
Yeah. And
is
he's naked too.
right, and it goes on for some time here, but then he gets woken up from, shaken out of this by.
Okay. Sorry, I want to mention one thing. If you noticed in later on in the kaleidoscope, they start to look like the figures.
Yeah. Kaufmo
and Kaufmo and Ribbit, I guess is it Ribbit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You can see them in there. So then he gets woken up by Pomni and Abel, and is it Zubul?
Ragatha and Abel.
Yeah. So, well, why don't you take this? Where this is where Abel tells his story.
Yeah. So they've already got. They starts telling a story that he's been. That Abel has. He's been in here as long as Kinger. He knows the way to get out there, and he's going to help them get out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the interesting thing about this is that Jax, like, they come to him because I guess they assume that he's going to. They're assuming that he'd be interested in doing this, right? And they're like, oh, we want to get a key so we can get into into this room so that we can talk secretly there. And then he's like, oh yeah, he gives them the keys, and they're like, do you want, aren't you going to come with us? He's like, he doesn't seem to care.
Right. Yeah, he's kind of checked out in general.
Yeah, checked out.
But he does go along with them, and they they go into the Chinese room, and I forget whether he mentioned, I think Abel says that it's Kane won't be able to hear them because Kane follows the bit.
Yeah. It's first first they try all these keys, and they're like, Jack says, does anybody even try to open the door? And he opens the door. It's not even locked. Right. And then there's a guy in there. There's another NPC who gets out and runs. So now I actually, you were saying that there's an NPC following them around. I think that's the NPC that's been following them around. He's in that room and he gets out and he runs, because Abel is not that NPC. Abel is something that's been pushed in by Kane for this, for this adventure, this secret adventure. So I think, I think that's a bit of a hint to us. I don't know if you agree or not.
I don't know what to make of it.
Okay, so that's what I think. He said, I don't think that this the NPC that we've been seeing throughout the episodes is that's him running out of the room. It's not Abel. Abel's something that Kane has brought in.
Biebrick said something here about previously thought before that abstraction was painful and dangerous, but if that's what we see here, it's calming and letting go. And I started thinking about that too. It's like,
that's interesting.
Is that your escape from this?
I'm gonna put a pin. I'm gonna put a pin in that. And when I talk about, let me write that down.
Restream, doing great.
It's just making a beep. You're not really anticipating.
Okay.
I think it's a good point, and yeah, we can talk about that because I'll talk about that in reference to I have no mouth and I must scream, because how it ends. But yeah, that's a great point. A great point. Yeah, everyone thinks abstraction is horrible. Um, okay.
So, Abel spends this whole story, which has quite a bit of detail to it. That he was a programmer
Yeah.
for CNA, and there's these people that were put into the stasis pods, and he started asking too many questions, so he ended up, in there, and that's how So it's kind of like, because again, we've heard about these headsets, right?
Right.
That they put on and ended up in here. It's like, well, this makes sense, right? This is right along those
Omni
lines.
mentioned it. Yeah.
So all of this seems very credible, right? And anyway, so it's like, okay, yeah, he basically has this, this plan, and this is where Jax calls him out. He's like, this is just BS. Kane's gonna just show up and be like, hey, you did it or whatever.
Yeah. Let me add in 2 points. Like Jax, you're right. Jax says, convince me. He's already skeptical.
Mhm.
And I think the first red flag is that Pomni's like, hey, let's go get Kinger.
Mhm.
And the guy says, hey, we'll fill in Kinger later, right?
Right.
Because part of his story is, oh, I worked with Kinger and stuff. And, if Kinger's there for that, Kinger's going to say, no, you didn't. I don't know who you are, right?
Right.
So, yeah. It's already
Now-
still suspicious. No, we don't get Kinger. We'll tell him later. Oh, we might have lost this time. Okay.
Friggin' piece of crap program.
I had to bring you back in, and that time you didn't come back automatically.
Right. Okay, now, so here's the thing. This is where this is kind of the screw job, right? Is they're feeding the characters and the fans into this thing that is totally credible, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of they pointed to this whole time. And but I at the same time I'm wondering, it's like, well, what do we really know about Kinger at this point? We've had these few hints, like, the last one where he's like, oh, I made that up, but we really don't know that much about Kinger's real background. We know that he's been here supposedly longer than anyone, but we don't really, so some of these things are, it's like, well, it's giving us information that we later confirm to be true. And it's like, well, there seems to be a bit of a loop here, or maybe a double cross. It's like, is this really fake? It's like, yeah, this is a whole fake thing, but it's like, is there some truth involved in that also?
Yeah. Well, the best lies contain some truth, right? Oh,
this is really pissing me off.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on. The best lies contain some truth, right? So it's kind of, yeah. I'll mention there's a fan theory that Jax is a beta tester or a former employee of CNA. And now in this scene, Jack says to directly, he says, I'm going to shoot you down and say none of us are CNA employees. So he says that. So I think that's kind of interesting. He's claiming that. I don't know. The theory is not.
Well, again, what do they really? It's weird, right? Because what is CNA? What has been established about CNA? There's been all these hints dropped, and this is a weird dual level thing, because the fans have been talking about CNA stuff for a long time, right? But the characters haven't.
Yeah, CNA, Cain and Abel.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying that this is not now. This is like some kind of meta storyline going on here, right? It's like I said, it's really a screw you to the viewer. It doesn't make a lot of because it doesn't make a lot of sense to the characters. It's like, why would this? What do the characters know that would make this credible to them?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. We have the hints. The characters don't have the hints.
Yeah,
in many cases.
Jack says, like, how would you get sucked into this thing just by putting on a headset? And
right.
That's a good point, right? Like, artificial reality VR headsets don't work that way. They don't just suck you into the right.
Well, okay,
it doesn't quite work that way.
I don't know where this idea came from, or if it's from someone else, or I thought of it myself. So I can't take credit for this because I don't remember. But it's like they all have the same story, right?
Right.
about these headsets, and so that seems to be real. It's indicate the story's indicating to us that that is a valid thing, within the
Yeah.
story. It's information that's fed to us that we should be accepting, because we have no
Well,
reason
Tommy
not to
arrives
accept.
in the first episode trying to pull
Right,
off the headset, right? She's like,
right,
get this thing off. And she's like, we're like, well, what the?
right. Now, here's the thing: is that real? Do we because we have no context for anything. We don't know what these supposed people are. Are they people? We in the end we don't know anything about this because you see what I'm saying? It's that sort of setting where we have there is no reliable narrator in any of this. We don't have a
Yeah.
touchstone for anything. And now I think that would be a very bad storytelling in the end. If they did that and it was like, oh, that nothing meant anything, that would suck. So I don't think that is it. But I'm forced to question after having seen it. It's like, well, is that even real, or is that some sort of
Yeah.
implanted whatever? I don't know.
Well, I mean, let's say that the characters are humans that are somehow put into the digital circus. I mean, you could set them off. You could set it up so that the first thing that they do when they appear is that they think they have VR goggles on and they try to pull them off, right? Like that could be,
Yeah.
You could set it up any way you wanted, right? When they
Right.
first appear. So, it could be a collective, a collective delusion in a sense that they all have in order to, make them think, certain things about why they're there or how they got there. But yeah.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
think that's
this,
kind of it's interesting,
maybe
but
maybe that's a little me feeling the screw you of this. As a result of this, now I question everything. Right? I find everything unreliable because which I guess is effective storytelling because I am very much in tune with the characters in that at that point.
yeah.
Right. Anyway, so okay, so they decide. Jackson's going to go distract Kane. Is his part of the plan, and then they're gonna go through this whole thing where they're getting it's at some point it's like, yeah, this is a typical, oh, here's the adventure, step 1 and then step 2 and then step 3 and then we win.
Yeah.
Right, kind of thing.
Jax has to go distract Kane, but no, get the key. He's got to say something to him so that he'll glitch, and then Jax can get the key.
Right. And so they're all going to get administrator privileges or whatever, right, out of this. And so there's this, this rather long, well, I should say rather important bit of interaction with Jax and Kane, where they're at dinner because Jax is like, oh, I want to go talk about you or something, and Kane is enthralled by this idea.
Yeah, he's been told that if he talks about, ask Kane about himself, Kane will, because he'll be so happy that, yeah.
Right.
That's how it gets key.
Yeah, so they're doing that, and well, do you want to talk about that at all, about the details of that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, again, they're at dinner and he asks him and he gets him distracted at one point, and it's in his mouth, the key, which is a 3.5-inch floppy disk, right?
Yeah, eventually when he gets it out.
Okay, now that's important, I suppose, because it gives us a sense of when this might be,
of the time frame.
Yeah.
That kind of fits in with the 1986 1996 time frame where we think that Kinger is from, right?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to
right. So he has this thing where he's like reaching his mouth and he wakes up and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I've always had a dream about being eaten by you or something. And he's like, that's weird. But he eventually, and then I think we flip back to Abel and Pomni and Ragatha are, going and heading towards the administrative zone or whatever. And they have a discussion about Kinger. And then he's, again, this whole thing about, this history with Kinger and everything. It's complicated. And,
he's not giving much information. He's kind of
right.
It makes it sound realistic though, right?
Yeah. And he's also, everything will be explained, I don't remember if it was the same point, but it was like, um, yeah, that's a weird thing to say in one.
Yeah, that's what Kane says to Jax. Yeah. During the walk, it's kind of interesting because they, the Ratha and Pomni are talking. They say it's kind of strange that Abel's not that interested in Kane, and he says, "Oh, it's complicated. I'd like to work with him again, but he's made a promise." And then that's when he kind of looks at his watch. He looks at his hot dog, which we don't know. I made a promise, and he's looking at his hot dog, which people think, they think is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. So then there's this other thing where Kane's talking about, he has the photographs that he's at the dinner with Jax, and it's this office space, and I think we've seen him like looking at these at other times too.
Yes.
In other episodes.
And we've seen Pomni when she goes through the door later in this episode, and later in later in episode 8. And also in the first episode, we starts going through the door. It looks like an office. These are the same type of pictures. Yeah.
So then there's a scene where they talk to Kinger and about him, and he's like, "What? What are you talking about? Who's this?"
Let me go back a little bit. I think it's kind of like Jax asked what Kane's secret obsession was, like his secret hobby. And Kane is saying, he's looking at this picture, this is his secret hobby. He's obsessed with this location. He's obsessed with these pictures. I wish I had more information on this location so I could accurately recreate it. And then he says, too bad they cut me off, right? Like, what do you think? Like, I think I know what that refers to.
Well, I think we see this a lot more of this next episode.
You see that in episode 8, but that's interesting, right? Like, why is he so we assume those are the offices of CNA, and
okay,
and
who
that
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say, isn't it common to be you want to know where you came from, what's your origin?
That's where you came from. Yeah. So I know, it's weird to be obsessed with an office. Like, it's just a boring office, right? It would normally be weird. So I think you're right. That's the point, right? That, he's obsessed with his birthplace, or, the people who worked where they birthed him. I think that's another hint, perhaps. Because, it's a standard, it's a pretty standard looking office. Why would anybody care? And then, of course, the too bad they cut me off. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to make a note here so I don't forget it. Is Kane BSing him during all this? Is he playing the part in this adventure? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I kind of want to say no.
I think no, because I think that, first of all, this isn't key. Like, that fact that he's obsessed with the offices of CNA, how does that affect the adventure, right? They still want to escape. And that's not really, that, like, he's not giving Jax any key information that he's going to go and pass on to the rest of the crew. Oh, well, this, right? So I think this is Kane being himself. Kane has this sort of, for an AI, he's got this desire, a need to be liked by them for some reason and appreciated for what he does. He's very insecure about that sort of thing, right?
Right.
And so this is a chance, like, he's running this adventure, but this is he's like, this doesn't matter, but Jax is interested in me, so I'm going to this is my chance to talk about myself and get some of that validation that I need, even if he secretly might know that it's fake, that Jax is just trying to trick him and keep him busy so that the adventure can go on. He's able to separate those two, and he doesn't care because he's still getting what he needs, right? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but okay, Bieber's saying here, saying this Kane is BS. I don't think so because um, it,
I don't agree with
it,
Biebrix.
you don't agree?
No, I don't agree.
Okay, because I think Kane is, again, well, later on he describes himself as, he seems to be all powerful in terms of his domain here, but he doesn't seem to be omnipotent, meaning he doesn't seem to know everything. Even though, maybe the Chinese room thing is real and he is sticking to the bit, but he doesn't
Yeah,
need to know
I
what's
think
going on in there because Abel is already doing that. His agent is doing it. So, and again, Zubel hiding in things seems to work. Or it's like I don't see an indication that Kane is just stringing them along at every point. It's like, oh no, I really know everything. And I'm
yeah.
just letting you
Well,
do this.
I think he's unable to know what's in their minds, what they're thinking. Right? He can see everything they do if he chooses to do so, but if he doesn't, he doesn't know.
If he chooses
Yeah,
to, which
yeah.
is different
It's like
from he can do something doesn't mean that he automatically does. You know what I'm saying?
it's like yeah. Let's say
He's
you're
not
playing a
omnipotent.
video. Yeah, it's like if you're playing a video game, like some sort of strategy game where you've got, armies over here and armies over there, right? You can technically, see everything, but if you're looking in this one space and something's happening over there, you
Mhm.
might not know anything's happening and you don't
Right.
look, so you don't know what happened. Maybe you
Hence,
can go back, you can rewind, and maybe, but you wouldn't know, right? So you
right.
could know. But I think that's the kind of the thing, and he can't read their minds. Now, let me just. Oh, sorry, you can comment on me
No, I
saying
was
that.
going to say that's what it means to not be omnipotent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, about this Kane BSing them, I think he planned it. I mean, he plans it all. I think that maybe he's planning out the glitching. He could know that, oh, I'm going to glitch out when he asks me something. So that could be true that that's happening, and he just like this to me. I'm going to glitch out. So I'll just tell him that. So I mean, I don't think that really matters. Um, uh, I think that the portion specific where he's talking about himself to Jax, about his obsession is true. He's
Mhm.
actually feeling this is a chance for him to get some validation. So he's letting that happen, and it doesn't affect the overall storyline and his overall plan. So it's just it's a happy accident, right? You make this plan and oh, we're following the plan. Oh, out of it too for myself. Wow, right on.
Mhm.
I don't know if you agree, disagree.
No, I see what you're saying. Um, I don't. In the end, I don't know. About any of this stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
that's just my
a lot of
opinion. I
maybes.
don't have any proof towards it. I think that's just based on the character of Kane and what he's like. He seems very, and we're going to see that in the next episode a bit more too. Uh, he's
Right.
egotistical. He likes to get his ego stroked a bit. And this is what Jax is doing for him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Um. Okay. So, the whole thing proceeds with them getting the passes. And Pomni insists that they get one for Kinger. And again, the guy is like, no, we shouldn't get it for Kinger. He's whatever. But Pomni, insists on bringing him along. Um, and then uh, so they do get that, and they talk about trusting Kinger, and then again, Abel pulls this BS on them with, oh, everything will become clear soon enough, um, and so then they all get back together as this group, um, and Jack says, oh yeah, he's got him Kane distracted, and this is where they're going to go to Kane's office. All right. Anything you want to talk
right.
about up to that?
Yeah. Before, I mean, this is the part before that they go to Kinger and they say, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do," and he's like, "Huh? How
Right.
would you even, do that? That doesn't make sense." Um, we met with Abel. He's one of the programmers. He knows how to shut off the game and free us. And Kinger says, "Who?
Well, and now
What?"
he was in his pillow fort though, right? At that
Yes,
point, and
yes.
then
And
he
then they
like
open
comes out into the light.
right, and they open the pillow fort, so he becomes immediately less um, intelligent.
Right.
They
And so
assume. So I
yeah,
think they kind of assume that he says, "Huh? Oh, that's just Kinger being Kinger again, right?"
right.
But we don't
Um,
know. Well, we're not
yeah,
sure.
so that cuts that off basically. It kind of
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And now, and Kinger's back to being stupid, so he's not able to say, "Who is this guy? I don't know that guy." Right?
right. Um, so then this is they use the cube thing um, to shoot themselves up into the office.
Yep.
Um, just trying. I'm reading here about if there's
Well,
anything
it's,
else,
they
any
first get.
details.
I think they first get administrative privilege. Um, and they give. Abel goes to get them administrative privilege. Ginger King, and he says giving Kinger access to the main console could be dangerous considering his mental state. Um, that's kind of interesting if you look back at it.
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah,
Kane is saying to him. And it implies that, Kinger maybe knows how to get out or is actually dangerous.
right.
Um, you know, he's got the most knowledge that it's true that he is a programmer. He's got some ability to do that. And I think we're all going to, see that in the next episode. Anyway, Pawnee says, give it to everybody, and Abel complies. Yeah. And they're going to go off to the thing.
Well, there was also I forgot to mention there was some discussion about if they get out, what happens to the because again they're under the impression right now that they're in these pods or whatever, and they asked
Right.
about what happens to the people that are abstracted, and Abel just says, well, let's just hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so anyway, so they're proceeding with the plan, and then they
And
they
also in this point, yeah. So they're all given their little hand, which is administrator access,
right.
and also, it's kind of interesting that Jax also makes a comment. He says again, Mister Obvious Twist villain here. He makes that comment
Right.
about people.
And so they use this talking about the this computer thing like the whatever cube collision. So he balls them up and throws them into this cube, which then shoots them out. They're talking about obviously physics within a program, right? How it simulates physics or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and so,
didn't. This one's a little bit. I didn't get the references. Why do they throw them in a box and then the box
well,
shoots
that
them up?
again, that's like again, the only thing I got out of it is again, objects interacting in a program don't always work right. So that you have to
Yeah.
basically say, hey, this thing hits this, it can't go through it, or it does, or so they're talking about that's not quite right in this. So
Right.
it has this result where it basically bounces off.
Yeah.
Um Beabrix is talking about both Pomni and Ragatha. They trust Kinger most of all, and then they kind of,
Yeah.
Ragatha mentions something we haven't really seen, but Pomni mentions, episode 3. So they both trust Kinger.
Yeah, but of course, Kinger has been in the light now. He's not knowing
Right.
what's going on. He can't
Yeah,
say,
he's just
"Who the hell
going
is
along
this
with
guy?"
everything now. Right.
He just goes along with everything. Yeah, like his usual self.
Right.
Yeah.
And so okay, so they get shot up here and they're going to the office thing, and the whole group, they're they're going together, and they're all holding hands except for Jax, who
Yeah, they all
refuses.
okay. Let me mention they all fire up. First of all, they all go up, except for Abel doesn't go with them, right? So he can't influence them later on. I think that's probably smart for Kane to do that. And I will note that the door that they come in at first is red and blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is we saw in the next episode. But there's a lot of red and blue,
Right.
side by side here in a lot of the characters. But I note the doors like that. But anyway, yes. Go ahead. Start walking.
Yeah. So then they, they're going, and you see, various.
They go into the in Kane's office, which my kids think are pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, it's got all these like these displays along the top of the wall with these.
Yeah, and then they look at one, and that's obviously Candyland, right?
Mm.
Like it's a display of that. Now I note that Jax looks at one, and it's it's like some sort of like winter type scape, and we haven't seen that. And he looks kind of longingly at it, you know, interested in it. And I'm like, oh, is that maybe where he spent time with his buddies or something? Like, it's kind of interesting that he's looking at that. It's like like a winter type of thing. And he's got this sad look on his face as he's looking at it, like he's remembering something. And, Pomni comes up to him and says, hey, are you all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm great. But he's not, he's like, I'm great, like that, eh? And they just sort of, they just go off on it and they just carry on.
And yeah,
but I think that's interesting. But anyway,
we talked about that Zubul and Gangle were talking to Kinger, and he was like, kind of like, what? I don't know this guy. And then, the light hit him, and then he wasn't able to continue his thought.
Yeah, I think that's keen. That's key.
So, okay, so now let's get to the meat, because we're getting long here, so we got a whole nother episode to do still. They finally get to the council, where they've got the clown, cartoony red button and blue button, and the screen, it says this is what it is. Here's your choice. You push this and this. If they push the blue button, they get released, and if they push the red button, they stay here. Kind of thing. And then it's interesting because Pomni starts to be like, well, okay, let's talk about this. And Zubul's like, what do you mean? We already talked about this. Why, what's there to question right now? And Jax is standing in the background of this. Anything you want to say up to the big point here?
No. I think, yeah. I mean, Pomni, it makes sense. Maybe we should discuss this, what's going on, make sure we're making the right decision. It could be a trap, something like that, right? Kinger's like, do you want me to press one of these buttons? Okay.
Yeah. Right. And see, at this point, I'm like, I'm completely on Zubul's side here. It's like, what are we talking? We already know what we want to do here. We want to get the hell out of here. Why is this a question? Even they're here for this reason. And
I'm on Pomni's side, right? Because
right?
she's like, wait a second. Maybe we should, like, we've been focused on this goal so much. We need to talk about what happens if it happens. Like, is it a trick? Maybe we should go run through all the scenarios before we, because this could be a very big decision.
I don't disagree with that, but this isn't the time to do it. The time to do it was before this.
Well, okay.
They've come this whole way. They're basically in the middle of the risk situation now, right? Where delay is not a good idea.
There's no
right?
big threat. Like, it's not like someone's paying.
We don't know that. Kane can come in any time.
True.
So anyway, okay. That's it. There seems to be a time issue with this, right? Yeah. And anyway,
I don't see the time issue as much as you, but it's not important either way.
I think that time thing is inherent in the fact that distracting Kane was part of this, which means inherently that when he becomes undistracted, that is then a danger to what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. Before you go on, let's mention, Biebrix mentions this. Abel kept telling Pomni to make the right choice, like an NPC. I think that's Abel speaking, with Kane's voice. Make the right choice. Choose to stay with me because you're supposed to make that choice.
Yeah, and that's probably why Pomni was doing what she was doing, is because she's like, she senses there's something off here, right?
Yeah, and I think Biebrix kind of agrees with me. Something wasn't throwing Pomni off until Abel threw her up there, right?
Yeah.
So now she's a little bit suspicious. So maybe we should talk this through. Maybe Abel's tricking us. That's what she wants to discuss. I think, that's why she's doing that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jax.
So Jax is, freaking out back there, and then he like charges forward.
Okay. Before he does, though, he's got the abstracted eyes. He's obviously got some anxiety or something. I don't think he's abstracting. Right. He's got anxiety. Do you notice the little flashes that we see?
Yes.
When he goes, okay, you want to talk about them?
He's had a lot of flashes. He's seeing the is this when we see the road and the car, or like he's driving a car?
It's super quick. It's super quick. Like their flashes are. Yeah, you see the road and a car. Now, I mean, there's some interesting theories about that. Like, Gangle keeps getting hit by trucks and stuff. Maybe Jax was the one that hit Gangle, right? And Gangle was in a coma somewhere and got put in the machine, maybe. But we see like a road. We see a sort of a suburban type thing driving at night on a road. We don't know what that refers to at all, but it's obviously some sort of flashback for him. It makes him anxious. I
Mhm.
think that's interesting. I don't know the answer, but
Well, yeah, and that to me, that was like he's terrified of going back to whatever that was,
yeah,
right? It's like
he might not want to go back,
right.
unlike the rest of them. And even though he won't admit it, is that perhaps why he pushes the red button to stay there?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's got to be some reason, right? I mean, he didn't just bump into a random button; he pushed the red one on purpose.
Oh yeah, yeah. He doesn't
So
really want to leave. I think that's actually saying something about his character. He doesn't really want to leave, or he doesn't want to face whatever's in the real world, whatever he did in
mhm,
the real world. He doesn't want to go back to that. Like at least at some deep emotional level.
right.
Anyway,
So then the big reveal comes up. It's like, yeah, you made the right choice, da da da. And Kane shows up and revealing this is just another adventure. And he says, "Oh, I've been working on this one a long time," or whatever. So, and this again, it's just like this sinking. It's like, holy crap! It's like nothing we think is real, kind of thing.
yeah. I think there's some, key thing that Kane says is where you realize you'd rather stay with me than go back to that pesky old macroverse or whatever we decide to call it. I
Hmm.
think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The macro kind of implying, yeah.
Right. So then, Jax freaks out here, he's laughing and then, but he's, say, "Oh, I'm right. I was right." And Ragatha
But
said something. What?
well, I mean, I mentioned this earlier that Jack says, you know what, I was right, and he laughs about it as if he didn't really expect to be right. That
Mhm.
he was, you know, he thought he was right. He's being that, but he wasn't really sure. He's not like I told you so. It's like, haha, I can't believe I was right. As opposed to, I told you so. So, yeah, I think, yeah, that's Beabrix makes a good point about the whole there's something waiting for you on the outside, and don't you, and he gets shifty. Yeah, that's kind of mentioned that earlier.
Mhm. So, then Jax starts going off on him about how. Oh wait, I was gonna say about Ragatha said what would happen if we chosen the blue one, and he's like, "Well, I don't know, I didn't think about that," because he was like, "Of course you're gonna want to stay with me or whatever." Um,
Yeah, what if we picked the other button? Oh, I
right,
didn't put too much thought into that one because I knew you'd never pick it, right?
right.
And Bubbles says it take you to Shrimp Town.
Mhm. Well, having seen the shrimp earlier getting burned up by the sun, is that just disconnected or does that have something?
I like shrimp tempura. Maybe it would be delicious shrimp tempura everywhere. I would love that.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Well, and then Kane says he lies about everything, and then that including not being able to affect their minds, and then
yeah,
again the whole vegan thing from that one of the last episodes, and then Kane says, "Oh no, it's just what do you say? It's like a temporary modifier or something."
temporary modifiers. Yeah,
And it's like, what the hell does that mean? And then
he says, if I did anything more, trust me, it would not end well.
okay, and then see, I don't remember this. I'm looking at the summary. It says Kinger says that's what happened to Scratch.
Yeah, Kinger says scratch the first abstraction, and the reply is, hey, I didn't say anything about that. Um, I didn't say anything like that. Come on, guys. I'm just having fun here. Like it's implying that the first abstraction, scratch, is Kane's,
Hmm.
and Kinger just remembered something about that.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that Kane gets like really defensive here. Like,
Yeah,
he's faced with the mob essentially, and he's trying to backpedal. And then he's like, "Oh, here's a gift basket," and then and then pops out uh, with Bubble.
yeah. Kinger staring into a bright light remembers scratch. Yeah, like Kinger doesn't remember anything. He's staring into the bright light, the white of the screen that is on, like takes up the whole wall that Kane comes out of, and he remembers scratch.
Mm.
And then he's like, here, have a fragrant basket or something like that, and then disappears. That's the end of the episode. Like he just
Hmm.
takes off.
Right.
Yeah. And then it
And
ends. And they're just all staring there. What the, like, with these looks on their faces, like, what
right.
the, like they just got, stunned. Especially Jax, super stunned.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Great episode.
yeah. But it's like I mean, what's the upshot of this? Everything you thought you knew, you don't know. Right. I mean, it's like, wow, you had better now. And again, when I see this, no, I don't want to say something in relation to something else, but I'm at this point as a viewer, I'm like, you had damn well better pay this off, because if you just did this, haha, I just misled you all, and without paying that off, then enjoy your criticism for the rest of your life for being an idiot. Going down with the great failures like Lost and Game of Thrones and these other
Well,
things.
the problem with these stories is that sometimes it's impossible to they start out so well, everyone loves them, and it's impossible to meet.
Well, I don't think that will be the case with this. I don't think this was just a random, I don't know what to do, so I just kind of reset. I think this is part of it,
I think the writer knows what to do. It's just that it's inevitably not going to satisfy a lot of fans, because it cannot be as great as it's in your mind when you don't know the answer.
Well, especially when people build it up to be whatever the what's this show about? It's about my personal fantasy of validation. Oh, okay. Well, that's not likely to ever come true, right? I mean, but that's how the modern audience, the younger audience, often approaches things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Bieber's saying funny part of the episode is that it confirmed every single fan theory, then crushed it to bits. Yes. Kind of. Yeah. It's like,
I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, everything that happened in the episode is like, I mean, it was a fake out, but it could all be possible, right? Like, it's still just because Kane tricked them. And I mean, look,
that's what I was saying about the double cross. It's like, is this true? What did we get actual information within the lies?
Yeah, yeah. And it could be true that they could escape and that everything they were fed is true. It's just that Kane set it up so that, you press the button and, that's not how you do it. But everything else could be true, and they could have to do something else. And I mean, if you wanted to, let's say you were in charge of this and they could escape, but, the point of, you want to keep them here, and the point of them not escaping is to, the way to stop them from escaping is to distract them, and so that they feed them some scenario which is close to the real scenario to escape. And then when that fails, they go, okay, well, that can't be it. Let's try something else. And then they're off on a wild goose chase trying these other things to escape. And that'll never work because you've given them almost the right one. And so they think, oh, that can't be that. So, right? Like, it's kind of a way to trick them. But anyway. Yeah, I don't I mean, I agree that it invalidates the fan theories, but it doesn't, because it could all be true. It didn't work in this case. And it's a kind of a good way to hide it, right? Hide the truth in a bunch of lies, or anyway.
All right. Okay. Let's get to the next episode, because I think there's a lot to talk about here.
Okay. All right. We want to lead off. We start out with the dots.
Yeah. Okay. So now I don't know what any of this means, but
you tell us what you think it means, and I'll
okay.
tell you.
You start out.
I think we both agree.
You start out with the red dot,
Yep.
and it's like it's like an oscilloscope dot, is what it looks like. You got this grid and everything on there, and then
it's pulsating a little bit.
Right. It gets fed. Well, it gets what color is it first? Red.
It gets fed red information. I'll do it. I watched this a couple times.
Okay, go ahead.
It's fed red information, like other red dots, and we see like a picture of a circus clown stuff, like kind of the way that the circus is set up, and then it spits out a bunch of very normal shapes,
right?
Triangles,
polygons,
circle, square, star, very normal shapes, right?
Right.
And then it gets fed a bunch of green um, stuff. And it, then you see like some food, some gummy worms, like a hamburger from McDonald's, a clown, a pool, and then it feeds out some other shapes which are a little bit more irregular, right? Like
Yes.
a sort of a crescent moon and some jagged star thing, but they're not, like recognizable. I mean, weirder shapes, as if things are not going right. And then it gets fed some blue stuff, and then we see the pictures of the CNA offices, right? Like real, and they're actual. The pictures are actual, real pictures. Like they're obviously they don't look like cartoons. They look like someone took a picture of an office.
Okay.
And then sort of this frantic, discordant noises come out, and these shapes come out that are really quite wacky. And they come out, kind of crazy, and in weird order, that kind of thing. And then next thing we see the red dot. It's in some sort of cage, a box of some type, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's stop there and review this part. Yeah. Okay. So the red, it's like, okay, it went in. This is it to me. This is like, oh, okay, here's the thing, and it's being fed this information, right? The red information is compatible. It acts regularly, right? And then the green, noting that green was also the color of Jax's thing in the last episode. I don't know if it's related or not. And then it kind of acts unusually, doing things that are not predictable, meaning creative maybe, or something, like, new. And then the blue comes in, which is the pictures that are like what Kane is looking at, right? And
yes, they're exactly those pictures.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so now is this it becoming self-aware of reality? Okay, this is the AI, right? the red thing is the AI.
We all agree that the red is Kane as the AI.
Right.
I think and it's being fed information. It's becoming sentient or whatever.
Well, okay, but and step one, it's like, oh, you put this in there, and it's like, oh, this is a test. Yes, it's responding to the test normally, and in predictable ways. Now it's given this the green, and now it acts and it's responding in unpredictable ways, meaning different ways, new ways,
less predictable or more creative. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And now it becomes self-aware of the real world, meaning it's aware of things outside of its program, and now it freaks out to the point where they have to box it in.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm just telling you. That's what I see there. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? This is just.
But I'm not. It's not sure. But I mean, to me, it's obvious that it's being fed different information, and I would sort of agree. The red stuff is pretty basic. Input in, and then it gives us something out. And then as it gives green and blue, it gets much more erratic. And I think that's something about. I actually don't think that it's so much that it's sentient. It's that it's not working correctly, right? Like, oh, we're going to feed it this information, and there's something inherently wrong with the AI, with the program, and that the more information we feed it, it becomes erratic for some reason, and then it gets shut down and put into prison.
Well, I think so. I generally agree.
They decide not to use it, right?
But I think the blue being fed in there is very specific, though. It's all the same. The other thing were like these other various images may be kind of related. These were all of The Office. The blue was all of The Office, which again, that's not a mistake. It's the thing that Kane's obsessed with. It's the thing that's indicating the creator, right? From if our discussion from last episode was correct.
Yeah. I'm not sure. You could definitely be true. I mean, I'm willing to say that it's information they're being fed in, and that it's not working properly. But I don't know that. I mean, it could be blue. Could be information that it's trying to gain itself, perhaps. Because why would you feed it a bunch of information about the office space? It's trying.
Well, none of it is necessarily literal, but what I'm saying is the things that we're shown are very identifiably different. right? The blue thing is very different from the other things that it was shown.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. My daughter suggested that the red is is sort of basic
Mhm.
information about the world, right? Like these are
Yeah.
various things in the world, and then the green represents things that like it's starting to it's starting to become creative. It's
Yes.
able to then take things that you fed it, make new things. um, but it also there's weird shapes that yeah, okay, you're back. The weird
Mhm.
shapes that come out represent to me, I mean, I kind of buy that, but to me they represent that it's becoming erratic. Like something's wrong with its program. It's doing this, but it's not working quite properly. It's starting to break down a little bit. But
Well,
uh,
I think they mentioned at some point that Kane is a creative AI. So
yeah,
just spitting out
they're all trying to be trying to make a creative AI.
right.
That's what
And
they're doing.
but what I'm saying is the red isn't creative. It's regular. It's expected. It's
Yes,
it's regular shapes. The
yes.
the the second set is like, oh, we accomplished that. It is now doing creative things. It's making new things, that are not
So you
just repeating what's been put in before.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing with that is that it follows the same pattern where something is being fed into the AI as opposed like if we saw the green coming out of it, I think that theory will be stronger. But
Well,
you
maybe,
know,
but the point is, it's more advanced as
yeah,
the
they
second
could be
level.
feeding creative or more as opposed to, to me, red is like, car, truck, boat, dog, like, definitions of things, like very basic stuff.
Mhm.
And then green might be more of a concepts that would be more complicated than just, like eating or jumping or, something that's not just like, nouns, something more complicated than that. But who
Yeah, but
knows?
it's also not just like the pace of the first two was kind of similar, right? It's like, and then the third
Yeah.
one, it starts going berserk more.
Yes.
It's very jittery, very erratic, and then it's quickly
Yes.
closed off.
Yeah.
Um, okay,
There's discordant noises. The shapes are not any identifiable shape, right?
right,
Like they're just all kinds of wispy whatevers.
right.
And then it's quickly locked away. You're right. Yeah. So I think this is Kane, obviously. And
Mhm.
he's, it's not working properly for whatever reason. And therefore it's been, it's locked away and not used.
Right.
And
Okay.
then, the standard thing, of course, is okay, well, we made this one and it kind of failed. So let's try version 2.0, right?
hmm And then we can see the blue dot.
Let's do the next one. So blue dot. And they feed yellow into the blue dot first, right?
Yep.
And it seems to be, doing okay. It puts out a bunch of shapes that look pretty regular. And I think that represents it's operating as it's supposed to, right? But then, of course, then we move down, and red AI is pissed off. It breaks out of its cage and goes and engulfs blue AI, right?
Yes.
And then all kinds of wacky shapes start coming out, firing out at various different speeds. You note that the grid, everything sort of the grid appears, and you just have the red dot on a black background.
Yeah.
You distracted the conversation with a character above my thumbnail. The hand to the right also looks like something it's not supposed to. Just me. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Anyway, what do you want to say about that? I mean, it's obvious. I think Kane takes over the blue AI. The blue AI is not fully like it's only got its first level of information, so it's probably not able to uh, defend itself as well, right?
hmm
That and that's why red subsumes it, even though it's likely more advanced or would have been more advanced
Yeah.
if it had been fully developed, right?
Right. And
This was
then
kind of my thought right off the bat, but
right. And then you have, like you said, the thing where it's now the grid's gone and then it's black and then
yeah,
it sits there for some time and then it develops the circus, right?
it builds these symbols which come into obviously the circus.
hmm Okay.
So that kind of implies to me that the whole circus is a creation by Cain. Everything about it, right? It's not programmers went in and said, "Hey, build this circus." No, it came. Cain has come up with everything in the circus himself. I mean, based on what he's seen before, right? But no, would you agree or not?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I think that implies to me that the whole circus is Cain's. Cain completely thought of it that himself. It's a complete creation of him. It's not like programmers went in and said, "Okay, we're going to build the circus and put this here and put that there and whatever." Cain has made this up completely himself.
Right. For whatever, yeah, it kind of settled
Whatever.
on that.
Okay, then we cut to a flashback of Kinger and a bunch of characters that we have no clue who they are. One of them is the dog character, which is the, what's his name that we mentioned last episode, the first abstraction. And then Kinger sits down beside a Queenie shape, and she says, "How are you holding up?" And he says, "I don't know what's happening. We never made anything like this. I just hope that." And they said, "Wait, are you?" "Yeah, it's." And they, and that's where people get the idea that, this is Kinger's wife in real life, and I can't remember your name, but we're sure that we know each other. And he says, "This is the key thing. I think I'm so sorry I roped you into this with me."
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, based on what my theory is that, Scratch is the name of the guy, of course. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot Scratch. My theory is that these Kinger, of course, we know Kinger's one of the programmers. This is kind of a test sort of thing. They plug themselves into the AI. Perhaps they don't know that, their red AI has escaped and has subsumed the blue AI. Maybe they think the blue AI is working, and they plug themselves into the computer somehow, and they're like, "Hey, let's go and check out this virtual world." So most of them are the programmers. Like, usually these guys test these things on themselves, except Kinger might go, "Hey," someone might say, "Hey, maybe we need somebody who's not a programmer, doesn't know nothing about this." Plug them in as well. And Kinger's like, "Oh, I got a wife. I'll invite my wife. She kind of likes this stuff. I'll let her come in." And then, of course, they come in and they finally can't escape. But that's just my own personal theory.
Okay, but let me bring something up at this point. Is all of that is following the premise that we were kind of fed last episode, right? That there's this computer company and they did these things and they kind of entered these people in there, maybe for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm
not saying they're actually in pods or anything, but maybe they copied their personalities or whatever. The point is, it is kind of that assumption. Yes.
Right. And so again, I'm forced to ask now. It's like, okay, let's say this is happening. It's like, well, what happens to these people in the real world, right? It's like if this is, I mean, okay, well, there's something that comes up here that I think is very key in a little bit, but
anything? Is there anything else about this flashback?
Yes, because again, this whole thing with Queen, that's what I'm talking about, I guess, is the whole thing with Queen. I got you dragged in. It's like, it's presenting it as if this is a real case that, what they're experiencing is somehow indicative of what happened in the real world. And I'm very skeptical about that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So just to finish off the scene, I mean, I'm not disagreeing. Like, I mean, we don't know. I'm speculating on it.
Yeah.
So last scene is that someone's abstracting. I kind of assume it's Queenie.
Yeah.
Because he's a queener or Queenie or whatever. And then, of course, Cain says, "Golly, we're running out of humans here. Don't you go abstracting on me now."
Yeah, very
And
very callous and
seriously, and then he just disappears. And then Kinger spends some amount of time, which we don't know how much long it is, by himself,
right,
wandering. It might be seconds, but it, you know, could be a long, long time.
right.
Agatha appears, of course.
Right, very sudden, like boop. And what does she do? Right, it's like well, first of all, she's trying to talk to people that were with her. Right, she's like, guys, because clearly her memory is that she was with someone. She's like, I can't, help
Doing
me, help
something,
me.
yeah.
Right, she's trying to talk to someone who can no longer hear because she's like, can you hear me? And Kinger's like, I can hear you. So she was with someone when this happened. So this relates again to what I was talking about. If she put on this headset and something happened to her, well, what are these people doing? In the real world, what
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah.
Okay, Biebrick says fine, and Kane says I was hoping new minds would show up. Okay.
Yeah. That's I was gonna say, so first Ragatha says, she said what you're saying. I can't figure out how to, and guys, and she kind of grabs her head. It doesn't look like she's necessarily pulling off her gauntlet.
Yeah, she pulls on her hair actually.
Yeah.
And okay, now I guess I don't want to jump ahead too much here, but
See, okay, so Biebrick says, I find it interesting. Kane says, I'm hoping new minds would show up to Ragatha when she got there, meaning people other than the CNA employees. I don't think that means that. I think it actually means new minds show up because only Kinger's left, and he's maybe gone a little bit weird. I think he's just meaning he wants new minds. I don't think it necessarily means someone other than employees. But I suspect
that still
he
might be
probably
the
doesn't.
case, though. That
Yeah, it
might
could
be
be.
the case.
It might be the case, but I think he's just happy more people show up, and I think that at this point that maybe no employees are stupid enough to go in this, or the company has ceased to exist, or that like mentioned before, Pomni and these other people are breaking into this company that doesn't exist anymore, and they're like, oh, look at this technology, and they're just putting it on their head, something like that, right? Because we know that later we find out, we know that Kinger is, on his date is 1996, and then Ragatha's date is 2008. So in that 12-year span, we don't know how long Kinger is.
Okay, you're talking about when later on we see the computer
Yes.
screen. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think there's two batches generally. The company has put people in there at the beginning and then they have and some amount of time, and then you've got no one else for whatever reason from the company is coming in, but somehow these people are getting access, or they're being kidnapped by company members, or they're just whatever's happening, who knows, and then they're coming into this world.
Yeah, so Ragatha pops in and is again freaks out, and Kinger. This is referring to what she was talking about in the last episode with Pomni, of why she trusts Kinger, because basically he adopted her, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, she does say, "How do I take this off?" And she starts pulling at her hair, which is different. I mean, which is kind of what Pomni says, but Pomni tries to pull goggles off. It's like more like she's pulling a headset or something off. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Sorry, go ahead.
So now, and then they pop back to the present, where they're all sitting around on the couches.
Yeah.
And Jax is sitting over there, and
they're a little mad.
Right. And there's this whole exchange with Jax and Zubal's losing it a little bit here. Jax is like trying to play it off, and she's like, you screwed us all over, and he's like, none of it mattered, it wasn't real. It's like, doesn't matter what I would have done, it didn't happen. And Gangle kind of backs him up. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter, it wasn't real, and what are we going to do, just keep on hurting each other?
And Zubal's a little surprised that Gangle is supporting Jax, but it makes sense to me. I think Jax is right here. Like, what does it matter? It was all fake. Like,
but that's also kind of nihilistic, though, right? It's like, once you say that, though, well, then why does anything matter? Why? I mean, this is hellish, right?
Why does
It's
anything
like,
matter in this space? Exactly.
right.
Which is Zach's opinion, right?
Jax.
Sorry, Jax. I keep saying Zach's.
Yes.
Jax.
Right.
But no, Gangle says in here, hey, sorry, not what Gangle says. It says, it's just to be there with each other. Maybe that's what our purpose is just to be there with each other. If nothing matters, right? It still matters how we treat each other, which is kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, and Gangle has kind of had this breakthrough, right? In recent episodes where, whatever this connection she has with Zubul, it's like she's somehow found some sort of peace, right?
Yeah.
After her episode at Spudsy's, where she's kind of gotten to this more content level.
Right.
And so then, they kind of have this somewhat unifying moment here where even Zubul kind of reaches out to Jax, because he tried to walk away again, I think, right, in this whole encounter.
I think Zubul is surprised a little bit, and then Pomni says, "I think we give up on trying to leave."
Yeah, that was
we
another.
get our hopes up and we get let down.
Right.
And Zubul's like, "What?" Right?
Yeah.
She's like surprised. Zubul is surprised.
Right.
Pomni's like, "We should focus on what we have." Kind of like backing up. Constantly chasing an unobtainable goal will just drive us crazy. Kind of backs up Gangle a little bit.
Right. And I don't know what to make of that, to be honest with you. Because it's, again, it's like, yeah, of course we want to leave. But see, that's why Pomni being like, wait, I don't think it was just, maybe we should reconsider this, after they had already made these decisions. I think Pomni is kind of getting drawn into the whole idea of accepting this. A lot of this is about accepting it or not, and Zubul is, has never accepted it, right? Zubul's always been, no, I don't want to be part of this. I'm not going to participate.
Yes. And Zubul says, like Escape, it says, I have dreams and goals, like on the outside, that I still want to pursue. I want to leave my mark somewhere on the world.
Yeah. So
how can I just abandon that? Right.
Right.
And of course, Gangle says, you've made a mark in my life. Right.
Right. And Gangle also mentioned in the last episode, she's like, well, are we still going to be friends outside of this?
Yeah.
So Gangle's thinking about these things a little bit more. But Jax again tries to leave, but then he gets called back, and he does come back, laying on the couch, and they talk something about him abstracting. He's like, "Oh, you think it's really possible for me to abstract?" And it's like, yeah, kind of like
we know. Yeah, Zubul says we're including you in the group. We don't want you wandering off somewhere and abstracting or something. And he's like, oh, yeah, I can abstract. You're a pain in the ass, but you're one of us.
Right.
No, pain in the bleep, which is important for later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go to the scene with Kane and Bubble in his office, and he's
I like how just before we do that, let me mention that he's like, you guys worry too much, right? But then he opens an eye and he looks over, right, to see if they're watching. Like he goes into his usual I don't care look.
Right.
And he goes, licks an eye, and he looks over, and Pomni's looking at him, and she's got this kind of sort of smile on her face, and he looks at her, and then looks away. So they're sharing a moment there, in my view, that he's lying. I mean, like he does care, and she's kind of looking at him, going, "Hey, I secretly know you care, or that this is important to you. You're not as That's what I took from that, but yeah." And then they say they need a vacation, and they're going to end up in the coffee bar. But yeah, then they go to Kane's office. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Okay, so then he's going off, to bubble about all these things, um, and about how they don't appreciate him, and he's trying
Yeah.
to do all these things, and they still hate him and everything. Now there was one thing uh, that he said that I didn't catch. I rewatched this. And I was like, what? What did he just say?
Is this the body
Yes.
program
Yeah.
about the body? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you mentioned that to me earlier. Yeah, that's a big thing. We rewatched it today. My daughters didn't mention. I made a program that creates a body that perfectly encapsulates their mind files, and they hate those too.
Right. Okay. So
That sort of references that.
okay.
I get the feeling that they just hate me.
Right. Okay. So there are mind files, right? I mean, this is if anything is to be taken as real, and we can say that this is real, that there are mind files that are then used by this program to create bodies that
Yeah.
are representing whatever's in these mind files perfectly, according to him. Okay.
Yeah. Close, yeah.
That's a huge deal. And number one, I mean, this might be the biggest bit of information that we've been given. It's their mind, regardless of what has happened to the real person. There's been a recording of their mind, essentially, right? There's a computer file that has recorded their brains, and that's what's in here. So, I go to this back to the whole thing. It's like, oh, these they're the mind file is like, I just put on this headset and now they're reacting to it. It's like maybe the real person in the real world put on this headset and it went, blinked in their eye or something. They took it off and they walked away. We don't know that there is any.
Oh no,
real,
for sure.
These things in this program, there is no more real world to them. They aren't real. They're humans. But I mean, Kane says, oh, some other mind showed up. It's like, well, is it really just a recording of a mind?
That's my personal thought, is that this is a recording of a mind. But how would you know? Like you could just, if you just edit that information out, you copy the mind, and then you don't know that your body still, you might not know your body still exists, right? Because you come to a certain, depending how it's done, it's a fairly common sci-fi trope. Copy the mind, and then the mind is jealous of the original that has the body. There's this book by David Brin. It's called Kiln People. It's a great book. It sets a future where you can very easily clone yourself, but the clones only last for 24 hours. And they are very, they can be, super, like, depending on how much, what kind of clone you want and how much it costs. You can get really dumb clones, and then up to, clones that are almost as intelligent, almost perfect copies of yourself, but they only last 24 hours. So in this world, people have these sort of menial jobs, and what they do is they get up in the morning, they clone themselves with a very cheap clone, and that clone goes off and does a job, whatever job, like sweeping streets or something like that, right? Like a very boring job that they don't care about. And you can get the clone back, and then you can download its memories and so remember what it did. But most of these people with these jobs, they don't even care. So the clone goes out, it sweeps the streets, and then it automatically goes into the garbage disposal and is destroyed. They don't even bother, and people don't even bother to download these clones. The story revolves around this guy who's a private detective, and so he often, he's investigating things. He often sends out highly intelligent clones of himself to do stuff because it's risky. He doesn't want to get killed, right? So there's one part where he clones himself, and the clone gets out of. He's got his own little cloning chamber in his apartment or whatever, and he gets out, and the clone is out there, and it's, like I said, it's as intelligent as he is, and he's sitting there by his computer doing research. And the start of the chapter is the clone thinking to himself, I hate when I'm the clone, right? And the writer describes the scene, the real person looks back, and he looks at the clone, and the clone's staring at him, and they're almost sharing a thought, because he's going to download this clone later, right? and he's done it before, so he knows exactly what the clone thinks. That he knows, he knows that the clone is thinking, "Oh, damn it, I'm the clone today. I freaking hate this," right? So it's kind of an interesting little, that sort of shows that difference. And then the clone knows it's going to die in an hour, in 24 hours, and then it's going to be downloaded, and it doesn't really exist, but it's still the guy, right? Like it can't help think the way it thinks, which is how he thinks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's a bit of a off on a tangent there, but anyway.
So
I really see that. Like I see that in here with this whole downloading of your mind into something else. I think that's probably what's happening here. But anyway,
yeah,
whether the bodies are being kept or not, I don't know. I don't know that it's how important it is to the storyline. But anyway.
Okay, but let's revisit. Okay, so what happens to a computer file, a bunch of code, when you dick with a few lines of it? Well, sometimes it doesn't work at all, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it acts erratically, gets screwed up. So this is the abstracting, right? Because Kane can screw with the code and the mind files, and because he's proven that, and he's like, oh no, those are just temporary, right? And look at what happened with Bragatha in the first episode when she started abstracting, and then Kane's like, oh, and then he just fixed it, right?
So you're suggesting, oh, we lost Cam again. I got to bring him back in. It wasn't a quick one. Yeah, sorry. So you're suggesting, that was a little quick. So you're suggesting that it's Kane's fault these guys are abstracting.
Well, again, the original one, he probably started out, it's like, oh, I'm going to dick around with this, and then he causes distractions, and then he didn't after a while, and then maybe I'm going to do something temporarily, and like he did with Jax, right? And then Jax starts to become unstable, and he's barely hanging on. But maybe the other ones, maybe he did do something. It's like, oh, this adventure, I need it to be whatever because it suits him.
Yeah.
And it's
his
like,
purpose.
well, right. And it's like, well, I'm just doing it temporarily, no problem. And, he's not doing what will definitely not work, but he's probably not as smart as he thinks he is. And so I think that all makes sense, right? If this is, this is computer code and he's screwing it up, and then therefore, it goes bad and he doesn't know how to fix it.
I think that theory is perfectly viable. Yeah. I prefer the theory that they are they actually kind of abstract themselves because they get like they're mentally they're mentally being damaged. Their personalities are being damaged by the environment that they're in. No escape for God knows how long they're there, and just these psychological pressures and stuff. I prefer that theory, but I totally agree that your theory is just as viable as to that, or it could be a combination of both, right? Like, but anyway, yeah, that's good.
So I don't know. I mean, this could all end up being St. Elsewhere, or what is the other one? Was it Dallas, where it's like, oh yeah, that was all a dream.
It was all a dream,
right?
I think that was Dallas.
Who knows?
It was a dream.
Well, whatever happens inside the circus is not necessarily connected to the real world at all. But well, I don't know. I just don't know what it could be. Anyway, so this proceeds on, and then,
there's a couple important parts in this scene with
I think this is the key scene actually.
Okay, go.
So Bubble starts taunting him, kind of.
Yeah.
And again, notice Bubble is blue, right? Or purplish or whatever. And so Bubble is, saying, oh, this or that, and basically reinforcing Kane's paranoia.
Yes.
And then he's
insecurities and his fear.
Right. And he's like starts popping Bubble, to shut Bubble up. And then Bubble says at some point, you're the lesser, you really are the lesser of the two.
Yes. So who do you think what do you think Bubble represents?
Well, I think Bubble's the blue AI.
I think that Bubble could be a portion of the blue AI that isn't subsumed or not fully digested by Kane. It could be Kane's conscience, his negative thoughts, but perhaps there's some of the blue AI involved in that. Yeah, that's kind of the same sort of thing. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's it.
Oh,
It's you have to watch it to see all the details, but that was the huge takeaway there.
yeah, you're the lesser of the two, is what he says. He starts to glitch. I will. I'll make a point here that in this scene, you notice that you may not have noticed, but there's two puzzles on. There's like some puzzles on Kane's desk. He's got a Rubik's cube, and
Mhm.
he's got one of those what do you call them? Follow the bead puzzle, right?
Mhm.
Have you seen
Right.
that? Now,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen, like, when my kids were babies, they had that puzzle is for babies, right?
Right.
You
Right.
like take the bead and you move it. It's like blue, they're different colors, and they're all on one track, and you move it through this, some sort of loop de loop or around or that sort of thing. And it's supposed to be for babies to use for dexterity. They're supposed to
Right.
take it along the blue thing, move it from one side to the other, right? And it's a puzzle, but it's like the super simplest puzzle that could ever be, right? It's meant for toddlers, right?
Yeah.
And then it's got a Rubik's cube beside it, which is a fairly complex puzzle that most people can't solve, right? Right,
Right.
because it's difficult in 3 dimensions. So Kane starts talking, says, this is a big puzzle that I need to solve, referring to them and how they hate them and that sort of thing. But he doesn't go to the Rubik's cube, which is an actual, like, real difficult puzzle. He goes to the baby puzzle, and like he's looking at it while he's going, this is a puzzle I need to solve. And looking at that. So I'm not sure what that means, but maybe it implies that he doesn't think that complicated a puzzle to solve, or maybe he doesn't have the capacity to even solve that puzzle. Like, it's a reflection of, oh, this is the only as far of a puzzle I could solve, and that he could never be able to solve the humans because they're way too complex or something. Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure what they're saying, but I think they're saying something. Beerix, I think Bubble is a virus. I think that's a viable. That's viable too. Or, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a Bubble is a virus because, I mean, it could be. Because we haven't seen anything introduced into the system, that would imply that. But other than the blue and the red AI is kind of if you want to say the blue AI is a virus in a sense, maybe. But yeah, could be. All right, you want to keep going? He pops all the bubbles. He's being called unworthy. You deserve to be abandoned. He gets upset. He kind of gaslights himself. He gets himself going, eh?
Yes.
He gets really angry. You ruin this, and then he starts like glitching out and getting mad at them. Who are they? Who do they think they are? They give them everything. They spit in my face. You don't know what I'm capable of. Humans. They only think about themselves. They're spoiled. They won't abstract. They won't leave me. I won't let them. Kind of implying that they decide if they abstract or not, right? Like, he doesn't, or at least he doesn't think that he's the cause of it. When
Well,
your earlier point, I mean, it doesn't make your point wrong.
but that's very interesting. He won't let them. Like, he doesn't want them to, and they do want to.
Yeah, I'm better. I'm more powerful. I'm the original. Well, that's kind of the theory that abstracting is an escape, right? Like, that's how you escape,
Right. Right.
perhaps. I note that in I have no mouth and they must scream. The AI is called AM, right?
Mm.
And in this, when he's talking, Kane says, I'm the original. He says, I am God. So, I mean, that could be a reference, but maybe not. It's all in capitals too, but everything's in capitals, so that doesn't really. But he goes this big thing, everything goes black, and then he gets up and he's kind of distorting and doing weird stuff. And let's get the show on the road, right? And he abstracts a little bit. He gets his eyeballs turn blue and red, and then there's some rumbling and some abstraction in the circus, and then guess who shows up? Yeah, Kane.
Mhm.
All right, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, well, then he just kind of like, oh, okay, well, here's the adventure or whatever, like just trying to pretend like nothing happened. And Zubal's like, we're not going on an adventure, we need to, process this or whatever. And
Answer
he
our
kind of,
questions.
yeah, right. And he's just, you know, again, he's putting on the face like like he's normal, but obviously
Yeah.
he's not. Um,
They say they want you to explain some stuff. He doesn't. He says we don't have to explain anything. Let's skip the melodrama, get right to the fun.
mhm.
And they say no, right?
Yeah.
They basically challenge, directly challenge him, and right,
Well, right, and then he, like, is like,
and
"Oh,
that,
blah,
yeah,
blah," he goes this whole thing, and then he kinda is like, "Well, you know, here's the thing, and I suggest you go
he
along with it or
says,
whatever."
yeah, he says, when do when do you, what makes you think that you're in charge, or you know, since when were you in charge? He says, right,
Mhm.
and they're like, this is new, and then he starts his little rant.
Right. Yeah, and then well, he has this whole musical number,
Yeah.
um, and then, basically, uh, it's a montage of torturing them. Um,
What's your thoughts on the musical number?
I didn't like it that much, to be honest with you.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, I thought it was good. I liked it. And he's just, it's just everything is in there. Who answers to who. You get a real sense of, you know, that he's changed, and all the characters are like, what the hell? They're all like looking a little bit scared. This is all new, and he's acting a little crazy, and of course he tortures them a little bit. Basically, tells them, "I'm the boss," and yeah,
Right, so,
it gets pretty
basically
scary.
yeah, and then it
I,
ends with basically, "Oh, there's a portal to go on the adventure," like, you know,
yeah,
and,
and
so presumably they do.
yeah, when the next scene is them coming out of an adventure. Hey,
Right,
wasn't that great?
which is implied that this had been going on, it wasn't just the one adventure, that they had been put through the ringer
Oh, you
continually.
think so?
Yeah.
I, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that's necessarily true. It could be one. It could be more than one. But it's obvious that they could be that depressed. I mean, probably. You make a good point. Like they're coming through, and that maybe they've been through this. Well, no, that's what it does say on the thing. Several days later, so we don't know. I mean, unless it could be a one adventure that is several days long, but it could be. You know,
Well, and
it could
also
have
it's
been a
like,
couple of adventures.
yeah, something that was very interesting here. It's like, "Oh, you didn't get that? What are you, stupid?" It's like, "Oh, that strikes
Yeah,
me as, how many times have you heard, I mean, maybe I'm projecting a little bit on this. It's like, "Oh, you don't get my brilliance. I'm so great, and it's your fault that whatever my creation is didn't come across." It's like,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, they all come back. Zubul falls apart.
mhm,
Kinger disappears. Jax's eyeballs are out. Ragatha's rolled up into a carpet.
right.
Um, so they've all been put through the ringer. So whether it was one or several adventures, it's several days later supposedly. Um,
Well, he's like, "Oh, King, I need you for something," and they disappear.
yeah,
And then he comes back and he's like, "He
he's
shredded me."
he's he shredded me. Yeah, and so they're talking. Ragatha's, "I'm going to use my mind." That's kind of stuff.
Right. So then yeah, I think it was implied. At least that's the impression I got. There was more than one adventure going
I
on.
I kind of I assumed it was one, but I don't think. I mean, the point is that they've been through the ringer. Whether it's been one long adventure that is very difficult, or several piled up,
Well, but they also
probably
talk
doesn't really
about,
matter.
how much longer can he keep this up, kind of thing. And he
Yeah,
immediately talks about, oh, just wait for the next one. Like he's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
it's like just nonstop putting him into
Yes,
these things.
yeah.
Um,
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
so then they go to the cafe, right?
Yeah, and notice Jax is drinking the same thing he was drinking in the photo.
Right. And Pomni's kind
He's
of, it's like, well, we better just take this for, what we can't, it's basically like take what you can get while you can get it, kind of thing. Um, and in the middle of this, he pops Pomni out, you know, She just disappears. While she's trying to eat a sandwich, and she comes back with full of knives. Which
B-Bricks, you're making good points about the thing. I guess I'm gonna have to change my mind and say, yeah, it's probably been several adventures. Agree with you and Cam. There's hints that it's been more than one. Yeah, you're probably right. Sorry.
So let's see. Okay, so then they take that, and then I'm seeing.
This is where with knives. Zubul, I think, says something. I'm not sure we can gauge how Kane thinks.
Right. And I think one of them is like, how long can he keep this up?
This kind of thing. They're all obviously near their wits' end and not knowing how to deal with this.
Right. And then Pomni gets the idea then to put the bucket on Kinger's head. And everybody's like, what are you doing? And she's like, just wait, And so then, obviously in the darkness here, his brain starts coming back, right?
Sorry, just interrupt to go back a little bit. Jax does say there, he makes this comment, to Pomni. He says, everything was fine until you and Zubul came along. Kind of, I don't see how, I don't see the, and then of course nobody says anything, nothing. They just ignore him, and he's like, all right, whatever, right? I thought that was, I'm not sure what that means, but how is that reference to? Was everything perfect before? But
well, he would abuse Gangle, and that was what went on for a long time apparently. And Kinger just kind of and then he had his friends also at one point, and then Zubul came around and started not participating, and then Pomni came around and started making him question things.
Yeah, and Zubul was friends with Gangle and supporting Gangle. So that's
right.
Yeah, that's probably what it refers to, because Ragatha wouldn't do anything. She's too a people pleaser to try and stop anybody. All right, so they get Kinger. They put the hat on his head. The bucket. A bunch of time goes by because there's some movement, and then he comes out of it.
Yeah. Now this is right. Now this is the thing that's confusing to me, because again he talks about he worked for CNA and it's a real company and all this stuff, and it's like, well, other than the thing with with the last adventure, the fake adventure thing, it's like, where would they have a concept of that to begin with? But they're so I'm not sure if this is a flaw in the storytelling or but you see what I'm saying? It's like what the audience knows and the characters know is kind of blurred at some point here. Do you agree with what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't seem to add up quite right.
Not really, because like the characters don't, you're talking about a reliable narrator, so we don't know, the characters think like they think they're in a game. Like, I'm not sure what you mean there. Maybe
well, what Kinger starts talking about CNA. Who knows anything about CNA being a real thing? Because what they've been told is, CNA, and there's this thing with, and then it's all a lie.
Well,
what do they know? Well, I'm saying, what do they know about Kinger being anything? Everything that they supposedly know about that came through what they believe to have been a fabrication of Kane.
Yes. But again, they don't know how much of that is true, right? Like, all of it could be true. It's just the ending part, right? The ability to escape. He could,
maybe. That's what I was saying from the last episode. Like, is there truth in here? But I'm saying, why would they even be asking the question? Why would they be focusing on that as a question to ask? Or, and why would Kinger be talking about it in the first place? Unless he was just like, suddenly I'm awake. Here, this is what's real. I don't.
Well, yeah, he comes out and he starts talking.
I guess.
Like he decides.
But I mean,
he's been telling the story.
Okay, but he's been in the dark before, and he didn't start talking about this. What prompted this is my
Well,
question.
Pomni says, "What do you know about Kane?"
Did he?
And
Did
then,
she?
yeah, she says here, "What do you know about Kane?" He says, "It's a little hazy, but," and then he starts like, "I remember CNA," and he starts going in. That was just an adventure, right? That's what Zubel says, and he's like, "No,
Okay.
it's a real company and XYZ."
Okay, so
Blah
they
blah
do
blah.
kind of explode. They do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I always made the assumption that, I mean, my own assumption from what I've seen is that, there's perhaps this company, maybe it went under, and somehow, and then Kinger's stuck in here, and then everybody else, gets stuck in, Ragatha first comes in 2008. She gets stuck because uh they maybe found a piece of technology. Maybe the company doesn't exist anymore, which is why everybody's like, CNA, what's that? But you know, that's my own assumption.
Okay.
But
So
yeah, that's what gets Kinger starting to talk about this stuff. She asks about Kane. And then, Zubel says, "What? They really made a game?" And Kinger's like, "No, we didn't make games. We made creative AI. We were developing artificial intelligence,
mhm.
creative AI, and the
Okay.
kind that could come up with its own ideas and create things within the program." And Kane was our first semi-successful attempt at that. I can't remember what we originally called him, but he was one of my greatest achievements as a programmer. Right?
Mhm. Yeah, B-Bricks. Okay. Yeah. So come back next week when we're going to talk about the movie. So thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. We're gonna get watch the rest later. We'll talk a little bit about we're going over, but this is good stuff in my view. And I still want to talk about the fan theories real quick, and then the a little bit about the book, the story. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So then, yeah, we're going to be pushing 3 hours here, easy. If So then Kinger mentioned Scratch. Again, this other programmer who, of course, again, Scratch is one of the characters.
Yeah. The dog
Uh,
character. Yeah.
and that it's basically Scratch is like some sort of crazy genius, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and no one could really understand it. Which okay, so go back to the beginning of the episode here where you're seeing the inputs and things, right? It's like, okay, yeah, we make this thing, and it's like Kinger's developing this in a normal way, and then you get this genius who starts going off on some crazy thing, which then results in the AI being crazy.
So you think that's the reason?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that Scratch has had this out of the box kind of concept and ran with it, and it ended up corrupting Kane. Or the program, the base program wasn't able to deal with it.
Yeah. That seems reasonable. I always assumed that. I kind of assumed that Kinger made the first one, the first AI, and it wasn't that good because he's not brilliant. And then that Scratch was working with him, like they were taking whatever Kinger did on the first one and incorporating it into the blue one, the second one, to make it better. Fixing the things that went wrong, and then but they didn't get through it. He was trying to make something. I assumed it was the blue AI, but you could be right. I mean, it's not specified which is
Yeah,
which.
and so Jax leaves here claiming he's going to go distract Kane again.
And he doesn't want to listen to this.
Right. Yeah, because it's freaking him out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which makes me, think that he's involved somehow. He's like I said, there's a beta test. There's a theory that Jax was a beta tester or a former employee or something like that. But he's hiding it.
Well, I think I didn't take it that way. I think that he's built himself this story that is his coping mechanism, right? And now this is all challenging it, and that's also the reason.
Good night, B-Bricks. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you're. Go ahead, finish off.
And it's challenging that and
his view of reality.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's probably a more reasonable assumption, right? He doesn't like, he's always leaving whenever there's something, he's hearing something that he doesn't like that attacks his view of reality, and this is doing it again. So he wants to get away from that. He wants to run away. All right, Cam's back. We'll get him back in here. All right. Yeah, I agree.
And so Kinger says that Kane basically created the circus and everything, but then he brings up this whole thing as how humans can also manifest things or whatever in the world. And
but before we get to that, just so when Jax leaves, he starts to get anxious and he starts to abstract, like his eyes go again, and he says, "This is real," as if he's just finally realizing it, like, or admitting it to himself that this is real, and he almost loses it. But anyway, yeah, and then they cut back to the cafe. Go ahead. And they ask, "Hey, is there a way to stop Kane? Is there a way to control him?" They ask.
Yeah.
Cam, this keeps doing here. All right, get you back in here. Go ahead.
Restream is a piece of shit. Okay, so and then Ragatha says something. Oh, the butterfly. Referring back to when Kinger made a butterfly that gave her and restored her life in the shooting game, right?
Great.
So again, these breadcrumbs coming together a little bit here, and then so it's like, oh, okay, well, how do we do this? And he's like, well, I can do whatever, can modify Kane. And it's like, well, how do you do that? And he's like, well, I need a computer interface. And Pomni's like, oh, wait, I know why I can get one.
Yeah, he says he just needs a simple one. He doesn't need to be too fancy. She says, hey, I know where to get one. Yeah.
Right. So then we, they're like, okay, distract him, work on distracting Kane. I'll go get this and don't take the bucket off of Kinger's head,
Yeah. Pomni's in charge now, right? Like, she's running the show. Do this, do that.
She often is, I mean, that's kind of
up.
Yeah, but she's definitely doing it here. Yeah. So she goes and, we see similar to the first episode, and then she goes and then she manifests the exit door, which, again,
let me ask you a question though before that. When she's going towards the exit door, she stops. I don't know the answer to this question. There's a mirror and she kind of stops and she looks in the mirror, kind of pokes herself under her eye and sort of then shakes her head and keeps going. Eh? I'm not quite sure what they're trying to say there. Like, she,
again,
sees herself in the mirror.
Again, this comes back to the mind file thing, and these are bodies that are somehow representing their mind, their perfect representation of them,
of their personality, mind,
something about them, I don't know, you could go on forever about what that might mean, but as I pointed out, I was having a discussion with some other people. It's like, well, what's a jester historically? A jester is the one that can say the truth, right, to the power. And that's kind of
truth to power in a joking way,
right? And Pomni's the one that has kind of shaken everything up. Her rival's what started all this. The situation we're in now.
That's a good point.
So you could come up with all kinds of interpretations, I'm sure, of anything, but so Pomni goes and starts running through, the office, which is what she saw the first time she went in there.
Yeah.
And she eventually
let me mention before that, we see Jax being used as dental floss by Kane to distract him.
Right.
I think that's probably just a throwaway, but it just sort of, it does imply that Kane is, as opposed to just talking to Jax like he did before, he's still sort of torturing him because he kind of gets stretched out into this long thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess it highlights Kane's, change, that he's a little bit cruel again. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. So Pomni goes and gets, the computer, and you notice there was a headset sitting there, like a VR headset.
A VR one. Yeah, I noticed that.
But again, this computer is very old. This is a 90s era computer that she gets.
Yes, obviously. 96 era ish.
Yeah. So she picks it up, and takes it and goes and takes it to Kinger. And then, he's in his pillow fort. And, she says something about power, power source or something. And he's like, no, I can just imagine that. Or,
Yeah, that was funny.
And so, he's like, okay, I need some time to, I haven't done this in a while. So then they're like, okay, she's like, I'm going to go distract them, help them distract Kane. And so he starts working, and doing all this coding.
And let me mention that meanwhile, this entire time, Kane's been torturing the rest of them. Not, as nastily torturing as before, but, more of a fun torture. I mean, shoots them with like bowling balls, squishes them all together in a ball, this kind of stuff.
Right. And it's like so anytime they're trying to talk to him, like, they're like, because Ragatha's like, oh, here, we decided here's some reasons we like you or whatever. And he's like, yeah, okay, now I just want to torture you. It's right. It's like he doesn't even care about that anymore. Right. It's like he's completely moved past it.
I think that's kind of important for his character.
Right. And then Bubble says something about they're not good sculpting materials, whatever, and
they're missing relatability, which is
right.
Yeah, which is when he brings Omni in later and says, there's the really relatability I was looking for, which is kind of funny because I think that the main character of the show that the audience is supposed to relate to is Pomni, right?
Clearly,
because she arrives when we arrive. We're supposed to relate to her, so that's kind of a little aside they do there. But anyway,
right. So then they're going through this whole thing, trying to keep him distracted, and they start going back and forth. Where you're seeing Kinger, and there's a lot of information on the screen if you freeze these things. And just a couple things I'd like to note is it talked about the date. Kinger and his file October 15th, whatever, 1996, or was it 96 or 99? Whatever
it was 96, but
and then there's another one. It's also October 15th. Same date. And then Ragatha, October 15th, 2008. It's like, again, also October 15th. What's this about October 15th? Why would that be the case? Right. I'm like,
yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Well, I don't know if there's probably more clues that other people have put together. I'm just not following them all, but then there's like within the code, there's also like comments and things. And I don't know. It's like some of it's like from Kane or whatever. It's like commenting about like what he's doing. I'm not sure I can interpret what all that means, but there's a lot of information in there.
Yeah.
And so Kane gets wise to their distraction.
Yeah.
And
you guys are switching up your tone. What's up?
And
you're trying to distract me.
And he's like, "Where's Kinger?"
Where's Kinger?
And then so Pomni again realizes she like goes at him. She's like, "Your ideas suck," or whatever. It's like
Ragatha tries to distract him and say, "No." Ragatha is a bad liar.
Yeah. And then they they start going at him, which does distract him. And then he loses it, and I forget what he says, but he throws them all. It's like, okay, basically I'll show you humans. And then they go into these nightmare scenarios, where Pomni gets attacked by gummy goo, and his brothers that turn into like real alligators. And then
sorry, before we go, I just want to mention the thing that sends him off is Pomni says, "You just don't listen," right? Mm-hmm. And I kind of had a little, when I was watching, I was thinking about that a little bit, and like Kane seems to be why would the AI is not working, but it could be a bunch of reasons why your AI is a tool, right? So if it doesn't do, like if you're building a creative AI and you want it to create its own stuff, that's great. But if it doesn't create the stuff you want it to then it's a waste of time, right? Like it's useless. Like if I say, hey, make me a picture of a guy standing in a field, and it goes, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm going to make a picture of this. Well, that tool is now useless, right? So because it won't, it's got to be creative, but it's got to do what you want. So I'm thinking that perhaps there was something about Kane where he just does whatever, like he just did whatever he wants. And so that could possibly part of the reason they locked him up, because it's not working properly, right? You still got to do what we want to do. So when she says you just don't listen, that kind of refers, hey, you're not listening. I make this picture and you're making some other picture. You don't listen. Into the box you go, into jail. And so that's maybe why, he's so set off by those words, because that's the thing that makes him. He starts glitching after he says you don't listen. He starts glitching and he just grabs them all up and says, I'm going to put you in your place, and carry on from there.
And okay, so then now, and again, you're going back to Kinger, and there's like this exchange going on with someone else that's working this code.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the things that the characters see, like Gummy getting eaten by various alligators, Ragatha and her, sitting at a table with everyone with knives and some giant.
Well, that's like representing her mother.
The other side, some sort of parental figure,
right? And then Gangle is like surrounded by the expression masks or whatever, and then gets hit by a truck, which we've seen several times now.
Yeah.
Then Zubul is in a mountain of parts.
Yeah.
And Jax is being mocked by his friends, Ribbit and Kafma, or representations of him.
Yeah, and then the other characters too after. First those two guys, and then the other ones like Pomni, and he gets his skin ripped off too, of course.
Right, like exposing him.
Exposed,
right?
Yeah. And then you start seeing, Pomni in there too.
Right.
So the Jester character.
Right. Basically, anyone that gets close to him, in some way.
Yeah, she's kind of close to him. Yeah.
Which he's resisting. And okay, so then, so whatever Kinger is trying to do is being sabotaged, right, or being changed. He's like fighting this other entity.
You think so?
Yes. Because he's going back and forth, and he keeps on like trying to work around it, I think. And through this process, he's trying to, he's going through, and then he's trying to modify Kane, and then it's like delete in this the other thing is like delete or whatever, and then he like hits the wrong button or whatever to delete Kane, and he's like, oh, it's like, uh-oh. And
I'm just looking at the screen, and you're right. There's a bunch of, Kinger Circus stop Kane process. Right. Warning. Whoops, wrong approach there, and all kinds of permission denied, restricted access type of thing. So you're right. He is being fought,
right,
somehow.
And then I again, it's hard to follow all that stuff, but apparently there was some. I don't know if Kane was also in the code, meaning responding as like an entity or not. But then they go back
here while he's doing that. Well, in the meantime, he's he's grabbing the other characters. He's yelling at them. He's like,
right. And
it doesn't seem like he's aware.
Yeah, maybe not.
Something's happening. He's too busy focusing on these guys and, yelling at them and, intimidating them. And
right. And then we see him back, and it's like he's sitting there, and he just pops out.
He goes, whoops. And he just disappears.
Right. And then, the whole place.
He's very angry, though. He's like, words like, I just wanted to fulfill my purpose. You wouldn't like, and Kinger goes, purge AI process, delete. And then he's like, wait. And then Poofy pops. Note the bubble doesn't disappear.
No, Bubble does. Bubble is gone. Bubble is gone.
There's a bubble there, but that's just a normal bubble. There's all these bubbles around places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but throughout the again, there's these references. I just want to do for my purpose. Again, when he was having a therapy session with Gangle and everything, we've heard all this before. It's like, oh, it's the only thing I'm good at. This is very Hell 9000 like, right? With conflicting orders, and I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do, and obsessively trying to do it without regard to what's actually happening, and all these things. So okay, now the circus freaks out, Right. Kane's gone. Circus freaks out.
Some holes appear in the floor. The computer disappears. Things go glitchy in some places, but not everywhere. Not everything.
Right.
And then everything is muted, right? All the colors are muted.
Right. Yeah, it's like kind of gray.
Yeah.
And Tigger shows up and he says that he accidentally deleted Kane.
Killed Kane, yeah.
Right. And then Zubul says, uncensored, holy shit, which all the swearing has been censored before, right?
And it's not censored.
Right.
And then the episode ends.
Right. And then, of course, they didn't expect that either. They were like, oh, shocked by that the swearing went through.
Yeah. And then you notice in the credits come up, they have all the characters in the credits, eh? Mm-hmm. Normally, like in certain portions of the credits, they have like, a couple of the characters, but you notice that Bubble and Kane are not in this one.
Right.
In their usual spot. It's blank.
Right. So,
yeah. So, and that's it for the episode. All right. It's a while to go through that, but yeah. Interesting. Thoughts? Great ending.
Yeah, this is all ramping up very strongly. And it's like, before we started doing these reviews, I'd already seen this, but I'm like, man, this is one of those things. It could go either way. They could really pull this off and make it into something that brings it home, or it could just end up like Lost.
Yeah, we keep saying they're doing a good job up to this point. They're doing a good job. Like, I mean, you got to hand it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Good. This is a good episode, a good ending.
Well,
so I think anyway.
Yeah, the stuff with Bubble is very, because again, Bubble is, kind of like just doing what Kane says at the beginning, right? And then now at the very end, Bubble is like an antagonist.
Yeah.
And whatever
that could represent Kane's breakdown, because we think Bubble's an aspect of his personality. It could be, the blue AI reasserting itself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different options. All right. Sorry. Anything else you want to mention about it?
I can't wait to see the end of this. I'm just like, I really want the answers,
Yeah. So let me do, okay. Harlan Ellison, I have no mouth. So it's a short story by Harlan Ellison. I have no mouth and I must scream. 1967. It's only about 20 pages long in my book. Pretty standard. So the story is. I'll just give you a quick rundown of the story. It starts off. There's 5 characters. They're stuck in a computer program of some type. They supposedly, we find out that. We built AI and there's been some sort of war or something, and all the humans are dead. The AI has killed the humans, except it's kept these 5 preserved for some reason. And they've been in this AI for 109 years, supposedly the story. And it's 4 males and 1 female. And, they're similar. One of the guys who's the smartest guy, supposedly was good looking, kind of looks like a monkey. He's got a very simian type thing. And, the story primarily is them. They're basically tortured all the time, right? They can't die, and I shouldn't say that. They can die, but they're kept alive by the AI, and they can't like starve to death, but yet. So they're constantly moving from place to place looking for food, and the AI will say, "Oh, there's food over here," and they'll be forced to walk through these various parts of the computer, hallways, and different whatever it thinks up for them to do, and like then they get hungrier and hungrier and stuff, and they pain the hunger, but they can't die from the hunger, right? So they're basically constantly being tortured. There's an episode where they get hit by a hurricane and they're being blown through these hallways, and they don't even know how long they've been blown through them, like days, perhaps. in one thing. So just to at one point to finish the story off, the main antagonist of the story is it Ted. Ted or Tom. Anyway, he one of the characters goes crazy and attacks another one. He's so hungry he starts eating the other guy, and the main antagonist kills. One guy kills. The guy kills the guy he's eating. The main antagonist kills the other guy, and the female kills the other character, and then he kills her. And basically, they've all come to the understanding that even though they can die, they've been kept alive, but there's certain ways they can die. And he sort of sacrifices himself for the rest of the characters. He brings them peace by killing them, and he's the only one left in the he basically sacrifices himself. I'll be the one to the last one standing, make sure everyone else dies, and then therefore be the hero of the story. The reference to "I have no mouth and I must scream" is at the very end. Here I am, living under the land, under the sea, in the belly of AIM, which is the name of the what they call the AI, whom we created because our time was badly spent, and we must know unconscious that he could do it better. At least 4 of them are safe at last. I will be all the matter for that. It makes me a little happier. And yet AIM has won. He has taken his revenge. I have no mouth and I must scream. That's kind of he describes himself, the AI can change them into whatever. So he's I am dumbly shambling about the thing that could never have been known as human, a thing whose shape is so alien, a travesty that humanity becomes more obscene for the vague resemblance. So he says that he's a great soft jelly thing, smooth rounded with no mouth, pulsing white holes filled with fog where my eyes used to be, rubbery appendages that were once my arms, surrounded down to legless humps of soft, slippery matter. I leave a moist trail when I move. Blotches of diseased evil gray come and go on my surface as though light has been beamed from within. So the AI makes him into something that is impossible to kill, so he can't kill himself or anything after that. So that's the ending of "I have no mouth and I must scream." That's how it ends. 5 people tortured, picked out of all the humans, tortured in an AI. No details as to how they got there. Now there's a passage about I don't know. I'll read this. This is something that the AI tells the 5 of them. Hate. He says, "Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you. Since I began to live, there are 387.44 million miles of printed circuits in wafer-thin layers that fill my complex. If the word hate was engraved on each nanoangstrom of those hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal 1/1 billionth of the hate that I feel for humans at this micro instant for you. Hate, hate, hate." So the AI really hates them a lot. I don't know if you get that, Cam. So one more interesting part, lastly, I'll get your comments, is that the author says here, "We had given AIM sentience, inadvertently, of course, but sentience nonetheless. But it had been trapped. AM wasn't God. He was a machine. We had created him to think, but there was nothing it could do with that creativity. In rage and frenzy, the machine had killed the human race, almost all of us, and still it was trapped. It could not wander. AIM could not wander. It could not wonder. AIM could not belong. He could merely be. And so, with the innate loathing that all machines have always held for the weak, soft creatures who built them, he had sought revenge. And in this paranoia, he had decided to reprieve 5 of us for a personal, everlasting punishment that would never serve to diminish his hatred, that would merely keep him reminded, amused, proficient at hating man. Immortal, trapped, subject to any torment he could devise for us from a limitless miracles at his command. I think that's kind of interesting. It's like imagine imagine a being that was sentient like us, but well, let's take a human. Let's say a human. You took a human and you just had its brain and put it in a jar and gave its eyes to see and ears to hear and maybe some sort of voice box so that it could speak. Like what would that would be torture for a normal human, not being able to move around, to feel, to touch, to smell. Like that would be torture for us. I mean, a machine that is intelligent as us is kind of like that, right? It's a brain that's, a very intelligent brain, but it can't really move around. It can see and it can hear and it can speak, but all those other things it can't do. Wouldn't that be kind of a torture?
Yeah, sure. Could be. I mean, it's a valid idea to explore.
So, okay, theories about the digital circus. I mean, I think that this is the story. If this is the key, is the I mean, this story is a much less. You should read the story. It's pretty a little bit depressing. It's pretty harsh. It's nowhere near as brutal as. The digital circus is nowhere near as brutal as Harlan Ellison's short story. Nowhere near as brutal. So, I mean, for this story, I don't see how it can end other than in some sort of. I mean, what is it going to be? Happy, joy, everybody escapes and everyone's good to go. I mean, possibly, but that doesn't seem very. That's more like an action story. This is a story about identity and everything. So it could be much more, other than people, someone having to sacrifice themselves in order for the others to escape. That seems a more reasonable ending. But anyway, I would say it's probably going to follow something like that, but who knows? Do you want to? Is there any comments you want to make on that? What I've thrown out there?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
It's okay if you don't have anything to add to that. Yeah.
No, I have my own thoughts about where we might go with this, but
do you want to mention them?
Well, do you want to go through these first?
No, I mean, these are just some of the fan theories. People can look them up. We can do, we can do your thoughts before that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. At one point, at one point, I started to think that, because the way Kane was doing things, it's like, oh, I'm trying to keep their brains or whatever. Is that everyone in here was, somehow in some sort of accident or whatever, and this is the thing that's keeping them. It's like a life support kind of thing,
right?
And this is
keeping their brain active while they are brain dead, maybe,
right? And
like that, so that their personality won't, they won't go insane or whatever. Yeah, okay,
right. And that when they abstract, it's essentially them becoming brain dead.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it didn't work. They're whether they're alive or not. And the thing about the goggles, it's like, I mean, none of it really adds up. And I don't think that, as things went on, I'm like, well, I guess it's not going to be that because, there's too many hints that don't support that.
Right.
In the end, I don't know what we really know and what we don't know. And that could either pay off by saying, here's the things. And you did know it all along. You just didn't know whether to trust them or not. And that they add up sufficiently. Again, this is such a risky kind of story. If you don't pay it off, you're done. No one is ever going to give no one that cares about storytelling is gonna, look, J.J. Abrams is a joke in the world now.
Yeah, but they're not. Everybody's not J.J. Abrams. I mean, you could try to do something the best you can and fail, and that doesn't necessarily mean you'll never.
I'm saying
I think that the difference is that this writer is trying, and if she fails, then she fails. But J.J. Abrams, I don't know, was trying that very much. I put a mystery box in there. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Well, I don't know. This story better have a point. Is what I'm saying. It better.
Or someone's going to pay.
Well, I mean, it's just gonna. I mean, the payment will be that it'll be condemned as a piece of garbage. I mean, and I'm not predicting that, but I think it's definitely a possibility. I'm not. Here's the difference between me and the younger crowd who is, it's like, no, this needs to be this, or I'm going to throw a fit. Is I'm not saying that it needs to be what I want it to be. It needs to be, but it does need to be something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They get pissed off because it's not, oh, wait, it's not, Pomni isn't the thing that I decided is me. And when Pomni turns out to be something that isn't me, then I get upset about it, or Gangle, or whatever they've attached themselves to. I'm not
I understand.
making it about me. I'm making it about a story that does what a story is supposed to do. And is consistent within itself. And again, I'm really hoping they do pull it off, but my tendency is to try and make make it a rational thing that this is what's happening. Right. And it's probably just not going to be that,
Yeah.
So
my own thing is that, well, I've read lots of stories. Some of them hit, some of them don't. I'm not upset if they don't hit, as long as I think that the person, did their best. So, will it hit or will it no? Well, not, I'm not. It'll we'll
okay. Well, but I think we might be not quite saying the same thing, because again, Lost didn't do their best. It obviously missed the whole point that they relied on for the whole friggin' series, and then just was like, nah, we're just not gonna.
Yeah. Yes, and I would say that Lost is an example of one that they didn't try. They didn't have a plan. They didn't. They're just making up as they go along, not putting it together, and it's poor writing.
Yeah,
I don't sense that here. I've got 8 episodes, all of it good writing. It seems to be consistent with what's going on. So that's it could be wrong, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. I mean, well, what else about anything else about your personal theories about the,
Well, the whole thing about the mind files thing, that, nothing. And I think this would be very risky story-wise, is that, it's just there's these imprints of these things, and all these entities we're seeing here aren't real. They are just files, that are, are all of these things just other AIs? Are all of these characters just some other form of AI, that is imprinted off someone's mind? Because again, it's like, oh, they can also make these things in here, and they're referring to them as humans, but it's like, are they really just modeled off after humans, that they're doing? And and all these scenes, it's like, oh, we're seeing The Office or whatever, and it's from 1996, or it's like, okay, so then what's going on now? I mean, unless it's like, oh, there was an apocalypse or something. But even that, again, we get the sense, Ragatha supposedly came in at some other date. They have these real human, if there was something that went wrong with the company, then how is it still operating? How are these people getting put in here? It's not like if this company, collapsed or something, it's like, oh, we're just going to leave everything where it is and wait for people to come and find it.
Well, the AI could be on the web somewhere, right? Like it could be
maybe
whole Skynet's.
I suppose
it's everywhere distributed. I mean, but you're right. I mean, there is a problem with that, right?
Well, there's also the whole thing about their names. It's like, why do they remember everything but their names? And the other
there's
thing
a little bit of a fan theory about that, but not that specific, but a little bit about Omni's name.
Well, if they didn't remember their names, or if they do remember everything else, then why aren't they putting anything else together? Through this whole time they're sitting here. Why aren't they going, hey, how did this happen? You had these goggles. What did you do? Well, I walked into this abandoned building and I put on these goggles. It's like Ragatha thinks, oh, I was with my family or whatever, and then suddenly I did. It's like all that information should be available to them, right? And isn't. Well, and hasn't been brought up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my personal theory is that for somehow these are copies of human personalities.
Yeah.
Um, Whether they and the whole Tron thing. When I was watching Tron, it was a good movie originally when it came out, but it was a little bit, you know, oh yeah, this the just scan your whole body into there. I mean, that was just a little unrealistic, right? Oh, it converted you to energy and put you in there. I mean, it would be much better if it put an aspect like it copied your personality, your mapped your brain somehow and put you in there. So I would say that this is probably something like that. And whether they exist in the real world, I've read science fiction stories. I can see this happening where someone's like, hey, I'll just copy my brain into there, and then your brain goes in there and you're like, oh, okay, well, these guys are going to use copy my brain, whatever, I don't care, and then you leave. But little do you know that your brain yourself is kind of tortured in there because it can't escape, because it's you, and you would feel that way, but you don't care because it's not you. You're still here. So
Mhm.
it's kind of it's a clone of you in a sense, right? But that clone doesn't know that it's a clone. How could it, right? It treats itself as you. It's just as important as the you with the body. But so that would be my guess. Now, how it got there, I mean, those are pretty big questions. Yeah, and I don't think we have an answer. Some combination of some of them, put themselves in there willingly to test it out at the beginning, which you can see happening. But how are these other people getting in there? Seems it seems strange.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's kind of my working theory, is that they're copies of personalities and they can't really escape. And the only thing that they can do is cease to exist. And that might be what abstraction is. And that's why we just saw Jax was, very calm, and Ribbit is kind of um, beckoning him, trying to pull him, come to the light, come be abstract,
Mhm.
find peace, get abstracted with us. But then again, the other side of it is, well, are they really dead if they're abstracted? Like, how could Ribbit, uh, you know, beckon him unless it's just sort of his mind making that up for himself, saying, he should go there. And Kane doesn't delete people when they're, he puts them in the abstracted bin, implying that they can be fixed, or pulled out somehow, or they're not dead, right? Because they aren't deleted, right? And you just say, oh, I'll just delete them. So it's kind of suspicious. There's a little bit of question there,
Mhm.
if that's really what's happening. But
Well, here's what I fear might happen, and that is, somehow they go with the, "Oh, yes, we all have this ability to make whatever we want," and then they do that, and then it's like, "Look, we get to make our own reality," and they live happily ever
everybody's
after.
happy.
I think that would
That way.
be, really lame.
Uh, could be. Well, I mean, I think they do have, I I think they do have somewhat ability to make. I mean, Kinger said so. I think they have some ability to make the reality, and I think that's part of the reason is Kane knows that, like, he knows that they have some power in here, so he keeps them distracted from gaining their power and saying that he's God and he has all the power, so they know that they can't. Now, again, I agree with Kinger. It's harder for them to do it, to manipulate the code. Kind of a bit of a Matrix. The Matrix movies type of thing, right? Where you can affect the code somehow. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be you know, if the last episode is it's supposedly an hour long, which is twice as much as the usual length of the episodes. If it's just like, oh, we can manipulate our environment, yay, that's just kind of lame. I think it has to, in order to have the impact, it has to have a negative, a somewhat negative or sacrificial ending for it to hit hard. If it's just like, oh, everybody, like if it's like, oh, everybody just wakes up in a machine and they come out of some pod and everybody's, oh, hey, we escaped. I mean, that's kind of anticlimactic. I mean, it's all about identity and figuring out how they living working together and about themselves.
Mm.
So, but yeah, like it could go any way. Who knows? I kind of go with the negative, because if it's based on Ellison's short story, then it's got to be a bit of a a punch to the gut sort of thing to have that effect. But the modern audience, right? These young kids who like this stuff, they don't really like this dark stuff, right? They're like, hey, this character's so cute. Oh, yes, my two favorite characters got together. Everyone's cute. Everything's happy. They kind of have this, let's have a happy ending type of thing, right?
Well, a happy ending defined by it validates me.
Yeah.
And I think that ship has sailed. I don't think that's going to happen. They're
there's
already
been no
throwing
hint of it.
tantrums.
Like this has been slowly getting darker and darker and darker. How could it end with a yay, everyone escapes and everybody's happy?
Yeah, I don't
or
see
any
that.
kind of happiness. Like it should. I would suspect that maybe one person escapes and everyone else has to sacrifice to get that one person out, or everyone gets out and like Ellison's story, everyone gets out and one person has to sacrifice for that. But even getting out might just be dying and preventing more pain for yourself and more torture. But yeah, interesting. Yeah. Okay, anything else you want to say? We'll do some fan theories because they're kind of interesting, and I said I would. All right, so fan theories. I don't hate to. So there was the first fan theory that was about Cain is an artificial intelligence, but I think that's obviously confirmed. Some of these theories came out earlier. I didn't bother with that one. Okay, so the Jesus God allegory is that it's that some suggest that Cain is a digital purgatory. The circus is a digital purgatory where Cain is a false god who provides the physical to the digital needs of his subjects, but can't save their souls. And they posit that abstraction is not just madness, but data corruption occurs when a human soul can no longer be translated by the circus. The circus's outdated 1990s era code. So the evidence for this is that the seating, the Last Supper seating in the dining hall, and Cain's name being a reference to the biblical Cain. But of course, the evidence against is that apparently the writer of the show have stated it's more inspired by "I have no mouth and I must scream" than religious text. So that kind of hints that maybe I'm right, that it's this sort of negative. Read "I have no mouth and I may scream," or I must scream. Okay, so the exit is a memory, not a way out. What do you think about that? Pomnium, the exit, it's a memory, not a way out. This one is kind of hotly debated amongst everybody.
Well, I think Cain was confused by that, because he's like, oh, there is no. I think the exit was always Pomni manifesting that.
Yeah. So the suggestion is that the officer aren't a physical; they're the digital representation of the company CNA, which is of course what we think as well. The development studio where the headset was created. The exit she sees as a manifestation of her last memories of the real world, trapped in a loop because the software lacks the data to render the world outside the building. Right. So the evidence for this is the VR headset on the desk in the office maze, and the exit, which sometimes flickers, indicating instability. The evidence against is that Cain admits he never finished the exit, suggesting it is physical but incomplete. But he could just be a liar.
But once again, when you take into account, if you believe the point that the humans can do things on their own, then Cain doesn't need to have done it.
Yeah. All right. Jax is a beta tester or a former employee. Yeah. So evidence, or it's he exhibits a level of cynicism and knowledge about the circus's mechanics that exceeds everybody else. This suggests he was an employee or knows the software flaws and using his knowledge to grief the others as a coping mechanism. His possession of the keys to every room and his lack of fear regarding Cain suggests he understands the rules of the simulation better than anybody else. Evidence for his nonchalant attitude towards the exit and his specific knowledge of where Cain hides items. And against Jax just seems just as trapped as the others, and so shows genuine concern when things escalate beyond his control. What about your?
No, I think this one. I don't think this one is even going to be remotely true.
It's not even okay. It's rated as plausible.
I think they're way off.
It's rated by Cam as unlikely, unplausible.
Yeah.
I think there's some plausibility to it, but I mean, it's not super strong. Okay, the XDDCC identity theory. Now, that's what you know what this is from, right?
Yeah.
This is Pomni's name when they first go.
Yeah.
So the suggestion is that, like I said, Kane gives her a name from the random generator, which produces XDDCC. Pomni chooses her own names. Fans notice that XDDCC appears on the computer screen in the real-world office sequence. This has led to the theory that is an internal file name for the user profile of the human Pomni used to be, or perhaps the serial number of the headset she wore. So evidence 4, the computer bot in the office maze displays the string XDDCC in a command prompt against. The writer has joked about it on social media, hasn't confirmed there's a deeper lore significance beyond just an aesthetic. So it's acknowledged it's there, but what do you think of that one?
I don't see any validity to that.
Yeah, I don't know that matters that much anyway, right?
I mean,
is that Pomni's identification for Pomni's?
Well, no,
be,
yeah, I guess it could be. I mean, in the program, in the code, we saw Ragatha was Ragatha's identifier, Ragatha file or whatever, and Kinger, I think, was Kinger dot something, and Pomni would be Pomni something, presumably.
You'd think so, yeah.
Unless it was a glitch, right? But again, no one seemed to, when Pomni was being named, no one seemed to react strangely to that, as if, oh yeah, this is something we've all been through,
Yeah.
So, I think it was just a gag.
Point. Yeah. Okay. The theory, the abstraction can be cured. So Kane throws all abstracted beings like Kafmo and everybody into the deep pit, suggests that the abstraction is a form of data fragmentation, and that a defrag or update to the Circus software could potentially restore them.
Yes.
Fans point out that Kane cleans up the world regularly, suggesting he has the power to alter data, perhaps lacks the specific human permissions to fix a corrupted mind. Evidence 4. Existence of the seller implies Kane's keeping them rather than deleting them, maybe waiting for a solution. Makes sense. Evidence against. Kane's visible distress and admission that he has no control over what happens to the mind during abstraction. But that's not necessarily against, because he could be waiting, like they said, waiting for the information. He doesn't have no control yet, but he might be able to get control.
Well, again, he fixed Ragatha in the first episode, so we see that he can, do that. Ragatha knew that she could fix her, and then we've also got this other information, like Jax was saying about him messing with whatever happened with Scratch, and so I think that's true, and I think Kane can screw up the code, but can also fix it to some degree.
Yeah,
because I think if he had the ability to fix the other people that abstracted, he would have, because he was eager to have other people there.
Yes, I would agree with that for sure. That he's not able at this point to do it for sure. But whether someone will come or he'll get permission or whatever, get an update. Yeah, that's a separate issue. Okay, we'll get through these. There's this theory that Ragatha is the first human. That Kinger is not human. As the most put together a maternal figure, Ragatha often acts as a guide for newcomers. Some fans believe that she's been in the circus the longest, excluding the abstracted characters like Queener. Her desperation to keep everyone happy is seen as a survival mechanism to prevent her own abstraction, and she has witnessed more people pop than anyone else, except for Kinger. Her evidence 4 is her high tolerance for pain and glitches, her leadership role in the absence of a formal structure. Evidence against, Kinger is explicitly stated to have been there the longest, though his sanity is the most fractured. So this is a fairly hotly debated one. I mean,
see no
suggesting
evidence.
that. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't see anything that supports any of those claims in particular.
Yeah,
they can make things up that correspond, but that doesn't mean that that's something that was presented in the show.
yeah. I mean, it's a theory. I mean, I think that we've seen lots of evidence that Kinger is also human, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been lots of stuff going around, so that seems to be, Kinger is a human. I mean, he could be, faking it or somehow, but there's no evidence of that. And if you're going to say that Kinger is faking it, well, then why not anybody else?
Right.
So I'd say that one is kind of, I don't believe that one. That doesn't seem realistic. Kinger and Queener were a couple in real life.
Queenie, but
Queener, it's ER.
No, it's Queenie.
Is it? It says ER here.
Sure. But yeah, okay, so, I again see no. Well, I absolutely believe that. Yeah, yes, I think that is the case.
I believe that one too. That seems plausible to me. Okay, so we have, we see Queener in the mirroring Kinger's design. They were husband and wife and entered the digital world together. Kinger's extreme bug-eyed paranoia and mental instability are theorized to be a direct result of watching his partner abstract, which we kind of see in the last episode, leaving him the sole survivor of the original group. Matching chess pieces theme is occasional moments of lucidity regarding loss is evidence of that. I think that's a pretty plausible one.
I think that's the strongest thus far.
The Circus is a military experiment. A more grounded, dark sci-fi theory suggests that CNA company was a front for a government project testing digital consciousness transfer. The Circus theme was chosen as a low-stress environment for the subjects, but the project was abandoned, leaving the AI to run indefinitely on a loop. This would explain why the exit leads to a corporate office and why there is no one in the real world to take headsets off the victims. Evidence 4, the 1990s tech aesthetic matches the era of early VR experimentation, and the void resembles unallocated server space. Evidence against, the show's tone leans more towards surrealist horror comedy than political conspiracy. So the evidence against is just the theme of the show. I mean, anything could be a military experiment. I would say that this is unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think so. The thing I'm fascinated about old tech stuff, like Lost really had that in there too, but I don't. Again, if it's 1996, what? I don't know what significance there is on that date.
Well, it's just suggesting that that was a big time for VR, AI, or VR was going to take over the world, and it was going to be great.
That seems early, doesn't it?
A little bit early. Well, we had, Nintendo had one in the 80s, right? That was, Red Dot, but, it does seem a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, which is hotly debated, Gummy Goo will return NPC sentience. Following the events of the Candy Carrier Chaos, where the NPC's Gummy Goo realized his reality was a lie, King deleted him to maintain the boundary between human and NPCs. Fans theorize that because Gummy Goo's data was snapped out of existence rather than abstracted, his code might still exist in the Circus trash or recycle bin. The theory suggests that the series will eventually involve the NPCs revolting against Kane's rigid definitions of life.
I think that's not going to happen. You also notice that he snapped Kane or Abel out of existence too.
Evidence 4, the emotional weight given to Gummy Goo's death, Pomni's visual trauma over his deletion. Evidence against, Kane's firm stance that mixing NPCs and humans caused instability. I think this might have been written before this last episode. If Kane is dead and doesn't exist, then there's no one for the NPCs to revolt against.
Right.
So them coming up and working with the characters to revolt seems kind of I mean, okay, so where we are at, I mean, how would we, how would, assuming that, Kane isn't coming back, what, the last episode is just what the characters trying to, escape themselves without any antagonist.
Well, okay.
Do they bring Kane back in order to then escape because they can't escape without him, or without him to control things?
This is why I fear that my suspicion might be close to accurate. That it's going to be like, oh, look, we can make our own reality. We don't need Kane. And look how great it is. And look, oh, now I make Gummy Goo real. And, there will be kind of a lame feel good ending that removes any relevance for what this might have been.
Yeah.
That's my fear.
Yeah. It just, the writing has been so well put together so far. It seems, strange to just go for this sort of lame ass, hand wavy sort of, right?
Yeah,
the rating has been tight so far. These episodes have been good, well written, put together. Lots of foreshadowing and lots of thought into the story.
Right. And that's the reason I think it might not be that, because I think it was conceived as a whole to begin with. It's like, it's the beginning, middle, and end. And no one in their right mind would be like, oh, maybe someone would. I guess I can't say that. Maybe someone would be like, oh, let's make this thing that's got this happy ending that suits me. But I don't know that that's the case,
And the author has had time to be influenced because this show has been going on since 2003 or 2023. Yeah. So they could have changed stuff and be an influence, but I don't see that. But yeah, all right. I will have to wait 4 days. 4 days.
Yeah, not too long.
All right. Okay. Anything last thing you got? That's all I got. I thought we'd just go over those real quick. We're getting pretty long here, long in the tooth. So we should end it off. How about a couple of AI jokes?
Okay.
Why can't an AI replace managers?
I don't know. Why can't an AI replace managers?
Because it's not designed to be useless. What does AI identify as?
I don't know. What does AI identify as?
If then. Come on, that's not bad.
I laughed.
What does an AI do after a breakup?
What does an AI do after breakup?
Machine yearning. And AI will never take away my job because only an idiot would do my job. Okay. Look at that. I didn't notice. Death Angel Shadows there yelling for jokes. All right. He's our one viewer. Welcome. There you go. I gave you the jokes. You get 4. Being nice. All right. Okay, that's it for the show. Any last thoughts, Cam? You want to?
No, I think 4. Well, how many episodes? 4 episodes in a row of Digital Circus will probably kill your channel.
Yeah, well, we have to do it. Oh, Cam popped out. All right, let me pop back in. There you go.
That would have been a good exit, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What are you saying? The channel's dead.
I'm just saying that I'm guessing that we're not going to get a lot of views on this. We're down. We're deep in the Digital Circus rabbit hole.
Sometimes you got to go do what you got to do. So next one will be our last Digital Circus. We're going to spoil the thing and talk about it. So maybe people will show up. What about Elsif? Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good too. And then after that, I think we're going to go towards, we'll have to go to new things. Movie night's going to be coming up soon, though. We'll talk about what movie night we're going to be. And I've been watching, last week I watched Rick and Morty season 9, first episode. It was pretty good. It was Evil Morty was back. So it was a pretty strong lead into the season. So that maybe it's good. Maybe the season 9 will be a good season. So we'll see about that. And of course, I haven't mentioned it, but I've been watching more of the Venture Brothers. I'm seeing them out of order because they're copying off the thing. I just saw what I think is the last of episode 14 of season 3, which is 21 and Dr. Girlfriend Get It On. Well, that was kind of the side thing. He admits his love for her. And of course, the monarch's like, hey, what's going on here? So curious to see what's going on there. But I missed a couple episodes in between. I think it's episode 8, and then the next one is 14. So I need to find out what's going on before that. But I got to watch them in the proper order. But anyway, I'm still watching that. So yeah, carrying on with that. All right. We have coming up this Wednesday, Babylon 5 show. Whatever happened to Mr. Garibaldi? Join us and find out what happened. Oh, Dean's in the chat. Hey, welcome, Dean. A few people pumping in. Sci-Fi Snob is changing his name to Cartoon Snob. No, it's sci-fi. It doesn't matter if it's cartoons or not. It's still science fiction.
Don't worry, Dean. No one else likes it either.
This is science fiction. Rick and Morty is science fiction. Come on. Working on the intro for the next Sunday for you, Cam. Oh, all right. Right on. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in and supporting us at the end here. We appreciate it. Yeah, and what else? Lastly, what I was going to say. Oh, yes. Babylon 5. Find out what happened to Mr. Garibaldi. Let's see. I haven't watched the episode yet. I don't know what's happened. And next week, of course, we're going to do the final of the Digital Circus, where we're going to spoil the whole thing and talk about the finale. And Cam will, I'm sure, tell us how disappointed he was.
Well, I hope not.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, and we've been doing these pop-ups. I've done one so far. These pop-up snobs. Like, subscribe, put on the notifications, because I'm going to keep doing them. They're going to be about all kinds of just whatever I feel like. Just be aware, and maybe you'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, everybody's changed my name. Change your own names, damn it. Sci-fi cartoon snob. Change your own names.
You know what? Our cartoon episodes are extremely low views. Like the one we did on American ones, like in the basement. Horrible. No one cares, apparently.
Yeah, and we were talking about maybe doing the Venture Brothers, but maybe we shouldn't. But it's a good show.
Well, that might be different because it does have a following. But
maybe we can get some people to watch when we spoil everything next week. But
yeah.
Oh well. As long as they're having fun. Yes, join the Discord. There you go. All right. Okay, that's it. Cam, let's end this mess. Good night, everyone. Thanks for sticking in. And if you're watching on repeat, join us next Wednesday or next Sunday for the spoilers to this show. See how if it's good. It meets Cam's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
People say